Welcome to Zen Mind Sleep. Come closer, my dear friends. The fire is warm tonight, isn't it? Listen to the soft crackle of the wood, a gentle rhythm in the quiet darkness. Outside, the crickets sing their ancient song, and the scent of damp earth and pine needles drifts in through the open window. I see some of you, your eyes still wide, caught in the currents of your thoughts. There's no need to speak, no need to explain. This old monk understands. Sometimes the heart carries such a heavy burden, doesn't it? A weight that keeps sleep at bay. Have you ever found yourself in a place, my friend, where you were pleading with someone to truly see you? Imploring them to stay, begging for a reply to words whispered into the void, asking them deep down to treat you as if you truly mattered? I remember a time long ago when I was but a young man, not yet a monk, living in a small village nestled amongst these very hills. There was a young woman there named Lee. Her hands were deft, weaving the most exquisite silks, each thread a testament to her care and patience. She loved a man who was always chasing distant horizons, always seeking something just beyond the village gates. She would weave these beautiful, shimmering scarves for him, each one more intricate than the last, imagining his delight. She'd wait by the path at dusk, the chill seeping into her bones, hoping to catch his eye, hoping for a kind word. I remember seeing her own clothes growing faded, her smile becoming a little thinner each passing moon. She was still there, yes, but less of her was there. Her own loom, which once hummed with vibrant life, grew quieter. It was as if her light, which once shone so brightly, began to dim, not because of his absence, but because of her constant reaching, her constant giving of what was already her very essence. This old monk has walked many paths, dear ones, seen many sunrises and sunsets, and what I've come to understand through long hours of meditation and quiet observation is that such a pursuit, when you are constantly giving, constantly waiting, constantly hoping for someone who is already in their heart decided not to choose you, it's no longer love. It becomes something else entirely. It becomes a quiet form of self-destruction, the most painful. Part perhaps is that we often do not even realize how much we are diminishing our very being with each unanswered plea, each unacknowledged gesture. We keep pouring our peace, our precious inner stillness into a vessel that seems to leak it away as if it held no value at all. There's a teaching, ancient and gentle, that this old monk has carried in his heart for many decades. It whispers that the deepest pain is not when people depart. Oh no, that is a kind of sorrow, to be sure, like the autumn leaves falling from the branches. But the true, deep ache, the suffering that gnaws at the soul, is when you keep clinging to someone who is already gone, not just physically, but inside themselves. They have moved on in their spirit, in their affection, and yet you remain, holding on to a memory, an echo, a hope that has already faded. I remember old Master Kai, the calligrapher, who lived just beyond the temple walls. His wife, a woman of great kindness, passed away one winter, leaving him with only the scent of her favorite plum blossoms. For a year, every morning, he would still set out 2 bowls for breakfast, 2 cups of steaming tea. He would speak to her empty chair, recounting the day's happenings, the dreams of the night. His neighbors, well-meaning folk, would gently suggest he put away the extra bowl. He would simply smile, a wistful, distant smile, and say, "My hands, they just know no other way." He wasn't grieving her departure so much as he was clinging to the idea of her presence, preventing himself from truly meeting the quiet solitude of his new life. He was still waiting for her to come back to the table, even though her spirit had already journeyed far beyond. It is a quiet act of abandoning oneself, isn't it, when we put all our energy into chasing what has already receded? We forget the inner spring of our own being, the well of peace that resides within us, regardless of who stays or who goes. You, my friend, were never intended to plead for affection. You were meant to experience that quiet, unshakable inner peace. And once you finally, gently, release the grasp, your soul, I promise you, will breathe again. It will. Breathe like the fresh mountain air after a long, stifling season. You know, my friend, sometimes the deepest wounds aren't from a sudden storm, but from a persistent, gentle drizzle. The kind that seeps into the earth unnoticed until the very roots of the old oak begin to soften. We speak of the air breathing freely, like the mountains, but sometimes our own hearts become stifled in a different way, don't they? I've seen it often in the eyes of those who come to me, carrying their burdens like stones in a sack. They speak of a great hurt, not just because someone they cherished walked away, but because in the long, arduous journey of trying to hold on to that person, they themselves began to fade. It wasn't a sudden gust of wind that blew their light out. It was a quiet, relentless erosion. Like the river stone, smoothed and shaped not by a sudden blow, but by the ceaseless, gentle flow of water. Do you remember, dear one, a time when your own heart's song was the loudest melody in your ears? When its needs were like the clear spring water guiding your steps? But then, silently, a different question began to take root in the garden of your mind. Instead of asking, "Am I being respected here? Am I truly seen for who I am?" the question shifted, didn't it? It became, "How can I make them stay?" And that, my friend, is where the true suffering truly commences. Like a tiny crack in a teacup that eventually spreads, unseen, until the whole vessel shatters. This old monk remembers a young woman, May, who used to bring fresh eggs to the temple every morning. Her laugh was like the joyful chime of bells, clear and resonant. But then, she fell in love with a traveling merchant, a man of shifting moods and distant gazes. And I watched as her own vibrant light began to dim, day by day. She would fret over his infrequent letters, or the long silences between them. Each delayed reply was a tightening knot in her stomach, making it hard to swallow her simple rice porridge. A cool, distant word from him, and her whole day would turn gray, like a sudden cloud obscuring the warm mountain sun, leaving her anxious and bewildered. She would pace the quiet courtyard, her footsteps barely a whisper on the ancient stones, her mind replaying every conversation, every gesture. What did I say? Was it my fault? She would ask herself, her voice a fragile thought that never quite reached her lips. Her happiness, once a steady flame within her, became a flickering candle, entirely dependent on the fleeting breeze of his conduct. And then the changes began. You see it, don't you, my friend? The way we prune ourselves, hoping to fit into someone else's garden, even if it means losing our own unique bloom. May used to speak her mind, clear and direct as the temple bell at dawn. But she learned to hold her tongue, fearing she might be perceived as too much, too vibrant, too demanding. Her spontaneous joy softened into quiet politeness. Her vibrant colors softened. Her song became a hesitant whisper. She stopped sharing her true dreams, those wild, beautiful visions she once had, because she feared they might seem demanding or overwhelming to him. She started doing things that felt contrary to her true spirit, just to catch a fleeting glance of his approval, like a moth drawn to a distant, indifferent flame. Without even realizing it, she diminished herself, little by little, in a place where she was meant to experience affection and acceptance. This is why it doesn't merely feel like a rejection, does it? It feels like you forfeited a part of your very soul because you weren't simply offering love to them. You were sacrificing yourself piece by piece on an altar that asked for more than you could give. You weren't just caring. You were pleading for even the most fundamental gestures of acknowledgement. You weren't simply trying. You were depleting your very essence, like a well drying up, hoping to earn something that should have been offered freely, like the rain to the thirsty earth. And when love becomes something you have to struggle so desperately to attain, it stops being the gentle, nourishing rain. It becomes survival. You no longer truly want love, friend. You start wanting reassurance, a constant stream of proof that you are not replaceable, proof that you are enough. And this precisely is why the suffering grows so burdensome, so heavy in the chest, because you feel as though your intrinsic worth is being constantly scrutinized every single day by the shifting moods of another. The ancient teachings tell us that this is how suffering intensifies, because the ego, that proud, sometimes foolish part of us, becomes bound to the desire of being selected. It wants affirmation. It wants to feel important. It wants to feel victorious. And when someone does not choose you, the ego does not merely experience sadness. No, my friend. It feels humiliated. It feels rejected. It feels like it fell short, like a warrior defeated in battle. But the truth, whispered by the wind through the pines, echoed by the soft lapping of the lake, is this: your worth was never intended to be determined by the regard of another. Your peace was never designed to hinge upon someone's reply, their effort, or their mood, just as the sun does not wait for our approval to rise. Your peace, dear one, comes from staying loyal to yourself, to the gentle hum of your own spirit, even when someone else is uncertain of your intrinsic, radiant worth. Remember this, my friend, when the night feels long and the heart feels heavy. Love that demands such effort, such constant pleading, such a diminishing of your own radiant self, that was never truly love. It was something else entirely. It was the tight grip of attachment, mistaking a fleeting shadow for the enduring sun. Ah, yes, my friend, that feeling of mistaking a shadow for the sun. It brings to mind a particular ache, doesn't it? The ache of realizing you were holding on to something that wasn't holding on to you at all. I've seen that look in many eyes over the years, a quiet sadness that settles deep within the bones. It's the moment when the heart whispers, almost imperceptibly, that perhaps you were the only one truly weaving the threads of that tapestry. I remember a young woman, Li Na, who used to come to the temple. She would spend hours polishing the old wooden planks, sweeping the courtyard until every stray leaf was gone. Her hands, I recall, were always chapped and red, but she never complained. She once told me with a wistful smile that she had poured so much of herself into a friendship, tending it like a rare orchid, watering it daily, shielding it from the harsh winds. She gave her laughter, her quiet, understanding, her unwavering presence. She'd walk for miles to fetch special herbs when her friend was ill, or sit through long, silent evenings, simply offering her quiet companionship. But it was always she who initiated the visits, she who remembered the birthdays, she who sent the small, thoughtful gifts. It was like watching a solitary boatman rowing a heavy vessel, straining against the current, while his passenger merely gazed at the passing scenery, never once touching an oar. Li Na, poor dear, kept rowing, hoping that one day her friend would feel the pull of the water too and reach out to share the burden. That kind of realization, when it finally settles, can feel like the last ember of a dying fire flickering out in the cold night. It's a strange thing, this human heart, isn't it? We give our time, our loyalty, our precious effort. We lay bare our emotions, offering patience that stretches thinner than spun silk. But deep inside, when we are truly honest with ourselves, we know we are the ones sustaining that fragile bond, single-handedly. And that is where the deep pain truly begins. Because you didn't just love them, my dear ones. You fought for them. You battled with your own insecurities, trying to demonstrate your worth, hoping to earn their attention, clinging more fiercely every time they seemed to drift away. Have you ever felt that tightness in your chest, that hollow ache when you realize you are chasing a ghost? When love becomes something you have to pursue, like a fleeting bird you can never quite net. When it becomes something you have to beg for, with a heart laid bare and trembling. Then, dear friend, it ceases to be love. It transforms, slowly, silently, into something else entirely. It becomes attachment. This old monk has learned through years of quiet contemplation and observing the ebb and flow of countless lives that attachment is indeed one of the deepest wellsprings of human suffering. It's a trick the mind plays on us, making us believe that our peace, our very sense of completeness, resides somewhere outside ourselves. It whispers insidious untruths. If this person stays, you will be okay. But if they leave, your entire world will crumble. It turns another soul into your emotional oxygen. You start to feel as though you cannot draw a breath without them. The thought echoes in the quiet chambers of your mind. If I lose them, I lose myself. It is a perilous state of mind indeed. Your happiness, your tranquility is no longer within your own hands. It rests precariously in theirs. Their shifting moods become the winds that toss your own spirit. Their sporadic attention becomes the sun or clouds of your day. Their very absence can feel like a suffocating blanket pressing down upon your chest. Even the smallest change in their voice, a delay in their reply, a momentary distraction in their gaze, it all begins to chip away at your emotional well-being. This is why compelled love, forced love, feels so incredibly heavy. It is not peaceful, not calm. It is a constant, low thrum of stress beneath the surface. I remember another friend, an old carpenter named Bao, who used to sit by his window late into the evening, his spectacles pushed up onto his brow, his hands clenched around a teacup, but his eyes fixed on the darkening path outside. He was waiting for a message, a sign, from a son who had grown distant. His heart's very rhythm seemed suspended, waiting for the soft chime of a reply on the device he clutched in his other hand. He would try to present an outwardly calm and composed demeanor to his neighbors, nodding and smiling, even though internally, he told me, he felt like he was shattering into 1,000 pieces. Compelled love makes you question yourself every day. Did I do something wrong? You might ask the silent walls. Am I not good enough? Why am I always the one trying, always reaching out into the empty space? And slowly, imperceptibly, your spirit grows weary. Not because you are weak, my dear friend, no, but because you are bearing the burden of two individuals, single-handedly, on a path meant for two sets of footsteps. True love, genuine connection, does not require this perpetual pursuit, this exhausting chase. Real love does not leave you feeling confused every week, wondering where you stand or why they vanished only to reappear when it suited their own convenience. Real love does not make you feel like you have to contend with their towering ego, their stubborn pride, their endless excuses, or their myriad distractions. When someone genuinely cherishes your presence, you do not have to plead for fundamental regard. You do not have to beg them to maintain consistency, like a child asking for a promise to be kept. You do not have to implore them to choose you, because love is not something you should have to acquire through hardship, like a treasure hidden behind an impossible task. Love is something that emerges effortlessly, naturally, like a spring bubbling forth from the earth when both hearts are truly present and open. But attachment, that stubborn, grasping hand, makes you cling even when you are evidently suffering harm. It makes you stay in situations that continuously deplete your spirit, draining your inner light. It makes you settle for mere fragments of attention, for crumbs, and then you try to convince yourself that these paltry offerings are genuine effort. It makes you accept silence, a hollow void, and call it necessary space. It even makes you accept outright disrespect, brushing it off as just their personality. And the reason you keep holding on, my friend, is often not because that person is uniquely exceptional or because their presence is so vital. No, it is because you are apprehensive of the outcome when you finally, truly let go. You fear the emptiness that might rush in. You fear being alone with your own thoughts, your own heart. You fear the loss of shared memories, even if some of them are tinged with pain. You fear that no one else will ever love you in quite the same manner, or that you might never find such a connection again. And that fear, dear ones, becomes the very bondage that holds you captive, tighter than any physical chain. But here, this old monk has learned something profoundly liberating. You are not suffering because you experienced their departure. No, you are suffering because you are clinging to the conceptualization of them. You are holding fast to an idealized image of them, a perfect version that perhaps only existed in your hopeful dreams. You cling to the persistent, shimmering hope that one day they will change. One day they will finally choose you. One day they will truly perceive your worth, your deep and tender value. And hope, in its essence, is a beautiful thing, like the first shoots of spring. But when hope becomes a prison, when it chains you to endless suffering, it transforms into a toxic influence. Because you keep waiting, day after day, for someone to become the person they are simply not choosing to be. So the lesson, if this old man may offer a quiet reflection, is simple in its truth, though often arduous in its acceptance. If love must be compelled, if it must be forced and fought for, then it was never love at all. It was, instead, your attachment, bravely but mistakenly, trying to protect you from the vast, unsettling loneliness that sometimes whispers in the silent hours of the night. And the moment you stop compelling affection, the moment you cease forcing your heart to suffer, is the moment a profound understanding finally dawns. You realize, with a quiet certainty, that those truly meant for you do not require pursuit. They do not need to be persuaded, and they do not need to be implored. They simply choose you, with clarity, with a tranquil ease, and with a genuine, effortless spontaneity, like two rivers finding their way to the same ocean. Ah, yes, rivers. And sometimes, my dear friends, two rivers simply flow in different directions, or one finds its way to a smaller lake, perhaps. It does not diminish the grandeur of the ocean, nor the beauty of the other river, does it? I remember old Master Li, a potter from the village nestled in the green valley below the Five Peaks Temple, where I spent many seasons as a young monk. His hands, gnarled and strong, could coax the most exquisite forms from a simple lump of clay. Each bowl, each vase, was a silent song of grace and balance. He would spend days, sometimes weeks, perfecting a glaze, mixing pigments from crushed minerals, his brow furrowed in concentration. The scent of damp earth and wood smoke always clung to his robes. Yet there were times, many times, when villagers would come to his stall at the market, admire his work with murmurs of, "Beautiful, truly beautiful." But then, with a hesitant nod, they would walk to the stall of young Chen, the new potter. Young Chen's wares were simpler, sturdier, perhaps a little less refined, but more practical for their everyday needs. A deep sigh would escape Master Li's lips then, a sadness settling in his eyes like dust after a cart has passed. He'd stack his unsold treasures, feeling the sting of what he perceived as an insult. "My work is superior," he'd sometimes mutter to himself, or to the patient, silent deity carved into the temple gate. "Why do they not choose me?" I remember when I was but a young novice, full of fervent energy, eager to serve. There was a particular task, a rare opportunity to assist the abbot in transcribing ancient sutras, a delicate and revered duty. My heart yearned for it, felt a burning certainty that I was the one destined for that quiet corner, quill in hand. But the abbot, with his gentle, knowing smile, chose another, a quieter, older novice named Bao, whose movements were slower, his patience seemingly boundless. A sharp, hot wave of disappointment washed over me then, my friend. I felt overlooked, unchosen, as if my spirit, my eagerness, had been deemed insufficient. It took many moons, many quiet meditations by the flickering candlelight for Master Li and for myself to truly understand. It was not that Master Li's pots were inferior, they were masterpieces. But perhaps the farmer needed a sturdy bowl to hold his daily rice, a bowl that could withstand a fall, rather than a delicate vase meant for contemplation. And for myself, the abbot knew, with his profound insight, that my young heart still pulsed with a fiery desire for recognition, whereas Bao's was already a calm pool, perfectly suited for the silent, selfless service of transcription. When someone doesn't choose you, my dear friend, they are not delivering an insult to your worth, to your intrinsic beauty, to the unique song your spirit sings. No, they are simply, often without even realizing it themselves, presenting you with a truth. It is a truth about alignment, about what fits their particular path, their specific need at that very moment. It is a revelation of their journey, not a judgment of yours. I know, my friend, when the heart feels that sting of not being chosen, it can ache deeply. It can whisper doubts. Am I not good enough? Am I unlovable? Am I truly seen? But think of Master Li, sitting alone by his kiln as the evening rain began to fall, pattering softly on the tiled roof. He watched the steam rise from the damp earth, and in that quiet moment, a different understanding began to bloom. He realized his value was not diminished by a choice made by another, but by his own reaction to it. He began to craft smaller, sturdier bowls too, but he never stopped making his masterpieces. And a strange thing happened. People still bought young Chen's pots for daily use, but they started buying Master Li's ornate pieces as gifts, for special occasions, for the sheer joy of their beauty. He was chosen for a different truth. And so it is with us. Our path, our worth, is not determined by whether we are chosen for every single journey, but by how we embrace the truth of our own being and allow others to simply be themselves. Ah, yes, losing sight of themselves. It is a common path, my friend, one I have seen walked many, many times under these very stars. When we open our heart, truly open it, like a spring flower unfurling its petals to the morning sun, we offer something so tender, so utterly vulnerable. We give our loyalty, a steadfast rock in a shifting world. We give our time, those precious moments that can never be reclaimed. Our very emotions laid bare like freshly tilled earth. Our patience stretched thin as gossamer thread. We pour all of this into another, hoping, truly hoping, that they will see it, cherish it, perhaps even mirror it back to us. I remember old Mei Ling from the village just over the mountain pass. Her husband, Master Li, was a scholar, always lost in his scrolls and quiet thoughts. Mei Ling, she was a woman of vibrant colors, like the silks she wove. She'd wake before dawn, the aroma of ginger and rice filling their small home, preparing his favorite tea, setting out his inkstone, always with a fresh flower in a tiny vase beside his workspace. The scent of that tea, the steam, rising in the cool morning air, it still comes back to me sometimes, even now, after all these years. She tended to him with such devotion, her hands, though gnarled with age, always gentle. She'd mend his robes, hum quiet melodies as she cleaned his study, her movements soft so as not to disturb his concentration. She thought, surely, this quiet care, this constant presence would be felt, that one day he would look up from his texts, meet her gaze, and truly see her, and the vast ocean of love she held for him. But Master Li, he was always present only in body. His mind, his spirit, seemed to wander in ancient poems and philosophical debates. He would sip his tea, nod absently, perhaps a brief "thank you" mumbled, and then his eyes would return to the delicate brushstrokes on the page. Mei Ling would sit sometimes just beyond the light of his lamp, watching the dust motes dance in the golden glow, listening to the scratch of his pen. And slowly, like the fading light of Killin, a winter afternoon, she began to realize he was not truly present for her, not in the way she was present for him. He was not safeguarding the delicate bonds she cherished. He was not making an effort to retain her, not beyond the comfort of her daily ministrations. And it caused her such profound anguish, my friends. I could see it in the way her shoulders seemed to slump a little more each year, in the way her once bright eyes held a quiet, distant sorrow, like a mist clinging to the mountain peaks. She began to think, you see, that it must reflect upon her inherent worth. "Perhaps I am not interesting enough," she would murmur to herself, though she never spoke it aloud to another soul. "Perhaps my stories are dull, my presence unremarkable. Is my love not worthy of being chosen, of being met with equal measure? Is this quiet rejection evidence of my inadequacy?" Oh, how easily we fall into that trap, don't we? To believe that another's inability to see our light somehow diminishes the light itself. But this old monk, through many years of quiet contemplation under the Bodhi tree, has learned a different way to look upon such moments. It is a teaching, simple yet profound, that can truly preserve your mental well-being from the despair that grips the heart. You see, dear ones, rejection, it is not invariably an affront to your spirit. Many times, it is merely the quiet unveiling of an underlying truth. I remember once, when I was a young novice, I spent weeks tending to a small sapling by the temple gate. It was a beautiful little tree, but no matter how much water I gave it, how carefully I sheltered it from the wind, its leaves would always droop, and it seemed to wither. I blamed myself, of course. I am a terrible gardener, I thought. I am not patient enough, not skilled enough. But then the old abbot, with his gentle smile, came by. He simply knelt, touched the soil, looked at the leaves, and said, "Mingxin, this is a mountain pine. It thrives on rocky slopes in thin soil with very little water. Here, by the gate, the earth is too rich, too soft, too moist for its nature." He wasn't blaming the tree, nor was he blaming me. He was simply stating a truth about its nature, a truth about its needs. And it is often the same with people, my friends. When someone does not choose you, when they do not reciprocate the depth of your offering, they are not deliberately trying to perplex you or hurt you. No, often, with a quiet honesty that can be difficult to accept, they are showing you exactly where you stand in their life. Their actions, or their lack thereof, are their clearest answer. Their distance, a decision made without words. Their silence, a message spoken plainly to the heart. Their lack of effort, that is their truth. And the longer we resist acknowledging that truth, the longer we suffer, cradling ourselves in illusions. You see, most people, dear ones, do not suffer from the rejection itself. The initial sting is sharp, yes, like a sudden prick of a thorn. But the lasting, corrosive pain comes from the mental war we create inside our own heads. It is the endless dialogue, the persistent pondering that echoes through sleepless nights. What did I do wrong? Why are they acting like this? Perhaps they are just busy, overwhelmed by their own burdens. Maybe they are stressed and their mind is elsewhere. Perhaps they still care, but they simply do not know how to show it, or they are afraid. Oh, the stories we tell ourselves. The elaborate tapestries of rationalization we weave to shield our tender emotions, to protect our fragile hopes. But while your mind keeps formulating these careful justifications, your heart, my friend, keeps being wounded by the stark, undeniable reality. A person who genuinely holds you in high regard, who truly values your presence in their life, does not leave you in a state of agonizing uncertainty every day, wondering where you stand. They do not vanish like smoke in the wind, only to reappear when it suits their momentary convenience, when the well of their own needs runs dry. They do not make you feel like you are being overly demanding for simply requesting fundamental consideration, for a simple, honest connection. They do not treat love or friendship like something they can pause and resume whenever they wish, like a piece of music they can turn off and on. Because real love, my dear ones, real connection, it is not inconsistent. It is not a flickering flame, but a steady ember warming the space between two souls. Real love does not come wrapped in a cloak of anxiety, leaving you constantly wondering, constantly questioning your own worth. Real love does not make you feel unwanted, like a stray leaf caught in the wind. When someone truly chooses you, when their heart aligns with yours, you do not have to question it. Not deep down, you feel it. You feel it in the unwavering steadiness of their behavior. You feel it in the priorities they quietly set, the small ways they arrange their life to make space for you. You feel it in the gentle, open way they speak to you, and in the quiet resolve with which they protect your place in their life, like a sacred grove. But when someone does not choose you, you feel that too, don't you? It is a different kind of feeling, a hollowness that settles in the chest. You feel it in the emptiness of their prolonged absence, in the chilling silence of unanswered words, like a cold draft creeping through a door left ajar. You feel it in the coldness of their responses, or the lack thereof. And perhaps most painfully, you feel it in the way they make you feel as if you are being overly demanding, perhaps even foolish, when you are only asking for what ought to be an inherent, natural aspect of any true bond. And this, my friends, is where the wisdom of the path, the quiet strength of the Dharma gives you true solace. Because it teaches you to see clearly, to look upon reality as it truly is, without imploring it to conform to your deepest desires, without trying to bend the unbendable. Many people, you see, unknowingly undermine their own well-being, their own inner peace, because they refuse to accept what is already happening, what is already laid bare before their eyes. They keep seeking finality, a definitive conclusion from a person who has already provided it, not in words, but through their undeniable actions. They keep wanting explanations, elaborate justifications from someone who has already explained everything through their absence of genuine concern, through the quiet void they leave behind. They keep pleading for sincerity, for a change of heart, from someone who is clearly content with maintaining their emotional stagnation, their comfortable distance. And that, dear ones, is why the suffering becomes so much deeper, so much more agonizing. Because you are not only grappling with their behavior, you are also wrestling with your own unwillingness to embrace reality, your own fierce resistance to what is. But here is a powerful truth, a quiet understanding that can lift a great burden from your shoulders. Someone's failure to select you, their inability to choose you, is not invariably an indication of your shortcomings, my friend. No, far from it. It is often simply proof that you are in the wrong place. Like a rare orchid trying to bloom in the harsh desert sand, or a robust cactus trying to thrive in a lush, damp forest. Neither is wrong, but their environment is ill-suited to their true nature. Sometimes you are too loyal, too steadfast for someone who only desires a fleeting regard, a momentary companionship. Sometimes you possess a depth of spirit, a seriousness of intention that someone else is simply not mature enough to embrace, not yet ready for the profound commitment it implies. Sometimes you are too genuine, too transparent in your heart for someone who prefers superficial games, who finds comfort in layers of self-importance and manipulation. Sometimes you possess too much depth, too much yearning for true connection, for someone who only understands the shallow ripples on the surface of a pond. And if you keep trying, my friend, to fit your vast, unique essence into a person's constricted capacity for affection, for true giving, you will begin to diminish your own light, to chip away at your very being, until one morning, you may not even recognize yourself in the reflection staring back from the quiet surface of the water. That is why it is so perilous, so truly dangerous, to internalize rejection as a personal failing. Because not everyone, not every soul you meet on this long path is capable of loving the way you love, of giving the way you give. And that is not a judgment upon them, nor a flaw in you. It is simply a truth of differing capacities. Like some birds are made to sing and others to soar in silence. Buddhism teaches us that life, in its boundless compassion, is continuously providing us with indications, with gentle nudges, with quiet warnings. But alas, most people, caught in the grip of their emotional attachments, choose to ignore them. You receive signs, subtle at first, then growing clearer, through disrespect, like a cold wind whistling through an open window. You receive signs through unreliability, promises broken like brittle twigs underfoot. You receive signs through endless excuses, a veil woven to obscure the truth. You receive signs through broken promises, leaving wounds that ache long after the words have faded. You receive signs through the way they display affection only when it serves their own advantage, when their own cup needs filling, like a clever fox seeking warmth by a distant fire. And each of these signs, my dear ones, is life itself, in its profound wisdom, endeavoring to safeguard you, to guide you away from harm. But when you are deeply attached, when the heart clings fiercely, you do not see these signs as protection. No, you see them as flaws, as imperfections that you are obligated to mend, to fix, to somehow make right. You think, if I just try harder, if I become better, if I become softer in my approach, if I become more patient, more understanding, then maybe, just maybe, they will finally change. Maybe they will finally see my worth, finally choose me. But the truth, my friend, the liberating truth is this. No matter how good you are, no matter how pure your intentions, you can never compel someone to appreciate your worth. You can never force another soul to choose you. You can never force them to love you with genuine earnestness, with a heart truly open. Love, true love, cannot be forced, cannot be coerced. It is not a burden. It is a grace. It is not a demand. It is a decision, a free, willing decision of the heart. This is why rejection, though it stings, ought not to shatter your spirit into 1,000 pieces. Instead, my dear one, see it as a powerful awakening, because now you see what is truly real, stripped bare of all illusions. Now you see precisely where you truly stand, not in the shimmering mirage of your hopes, but on the solid ground of truth. Now you can finally stop expending your vital, precious energy on mere fantasies, on chasing after shadows that will never solidify. Now you can stop investing your sacred self in people who are present only partially, whose hearts are always half turned away. And yes, it will still hurt for a time. The pain is real, my friend, because your heart was truly involved, wide open. Your emotions were raw and genuine. Your memories, those cherished moments, they were real too, like precious pearls strung on a fragile thread. But this pain, it is not intended to devastate you. No, its deeper purpose is to liberate you, to set you free. Because if someone does not choose you, if they cannot meet you where you stand, they are, in their very absence, sparing you from a future where you would have persisted in silent anguish, a quiet, corrosive sorrow that eats away at the soul day after day. And the most profound lesson, the greatest gift in this understanding, is this: you do not need closure, my friend, from someone who treated you with disregard, who left you questioning. You do not need elaborate explanations from someone who, through their actions, diminished your very sense of self. You do not need proof, external validation, from someone who made you doubt your inherent worth. Their absence, that is your clearest answer. Their lack of effort, that is your undeniable clarity. Their failure to choose you, that is their truth, laid bare for you to see. So instead of seeing rejection as an affront to your dignity, a blow to your spirit, learn to see it as a doorway, my friend. A doorway to self-respect, to honoring your own boundaries. A doorway to a quiet, abiding peace that emanates from within. A doorway to a life where love need not be endlessly pursued. For true love, when it comes, seeks you out in its own time. Because the moment you accept truth, the raw, unvarnished truth, without imploring it to alter, without trying to reshape it into what you wish it to be, that is the moment you become truly powerful. You become someone who cannot be swayed, cannot be unsettled by inconsistent communications from others, by their flickering attention. You become someone who does not need to cling with desperate hands to that which is already departing, already slipping like sand through your fingers. You become someone who understands their intrinsic value, their profound, unwavering worth, without needing another person, or indeed anyone, to validate it for you. And that, my friend, that is what spiritual wisdom truly embodies. It is not chasing, it is choosing peace, choosing clarity, choosing your own precious self, even when someone else refuses to choose you. Even when the world feels like it's turning away, you choose yourself. To choose oneself, my friend, that is a journey many years in the making. For so much of our lives, we are taught, perhaps unknowingly, to look outside ourselves for validation, for worth, for love. I remember once, many decades ago, when I was still a young monk, full of earnestness but little true understanding. There was a woman in the village, old Sister May, who ran the tea shop. She was a kind soul, always offering a warm cup and a gentle word, but her eyes held a deep sadness. She was a widow, and her children had long since moved to the distant city, rarely visiting. Every morning she would arrange her finest tea leaves, polish her pots until they gleamed, and set out her best porcelain cups. She would sit by the window, watching the path that led into the village. You could see in the way her gaze lingered, the way her shoulders sometimes sagged, that she was hoping for someone to step through her door, to appreciate her tea, her effort, her very presence. She gave away so many cups for free, just for the company, for a few moments of shared warmth. She would often bake small cakes, delicate and fragrant with ginger and honey, and she would tell me, "Master Mingxin, these are for my son. He always loved ginger." But the cakes would sit, sometimes for days, gradually hardening, until she would quietly offer them to the sparrows outside her window. A small sigh would escape her lips, barely audible above the gentle clinking of cups. It pained her, this quiet waiting. Her entire being felt like a perfectly crafted vase displayed for sale in the market, waiting for a discerning eye, a kind hand to pick it up and declare it worthy. But the days would pass. The sun would rise and set, casting long shadows across her empty tables, and the feeling of being merely available, not truly cherished, gnawed at her quiet heart. Have you ever felt that, my friend? That ache of being present, ready, but feeling unseen? One summer, a particularly harsh storm swept through the valley. The wind howled like a hungry spirit, tearing at the eaves of her shop, rattling the windows until they seemed to weep. The rain fell like stones, drumming a relentless rhythm on the tin roof, and the smell of wet earth and ozone filled the air. For 3 days, no one could venture out. May was utterly alone. On the 4th morning, when the sun finally broke through the clouds, painting the puddles with liquid gold, I went to check on her. The shop was quiet, the air still thick with the scent of damp wood and old tea leaves. I found her not by the window, but in her small back garden, barefoot in the mud. She was kneeling by a patch of wild orchids, those delicate purple blooms that grow without much fuss, nestled amongst the weeds. She wasn't pruning them or tending to them, she was simply looking. And as I watched, unnoticed for a moment, she reached out a hand, not to pluck a flower, but to gently touch a dew-dropped petal. A small, contented smile softened the lines around her eyes. "Master Mingxin," she said, finally sensing my presence, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "These orchids, they don't ask to be seen. They don't beg for water. They just are. And they are so beautiful." She paused, looking at her mud-stained hands, then back at the orchids, and then, for the first time, directly at me, with a quiet strength in her gaze. "For so long," she continued, "I was like one of my ginger cakes, waiting to be chosen, to be eaten, to be found sweet. But this solitude, these past few days listening only to the rain and my own breathing, I realized something." She stood up slowly, wiping her hands on her apron. "My worth is not in being chosen, nor in being appreciated. My beauty, my kindness, my very being, it is simply there. Like the orchid, it blooms whether anyone sees it or not. It is simply complete. She didn't open her shop that day, nor the next. Instead, she spent the days tending her garden, singing old folk songs and drinking her own tea, slowly, mindfully. And when she finally did reopen, the light in her eyes was different. She still offered tea, still baked cakes, but there was no more quiet pleading in her gaze. She served with a serene grace, not seeking, but offering. And ironically, her shop became busier than ever, filled with people drawn to her newfound radiance. Sometimes, my dear ones, we forget that we are not wares to be displayed, our value determined by another's glance or a price tag. We are the garden itself, the quiet strength of the mountain, the deep, clear well. We don't need to beg for anything that is already within us. We simply need to remember, to be, to unfold in our own time, in our own way, like the orchids after a storm. If sleep still eludes you tonight, perhaps simply breathe and feel the quiet, completeness of your own being, just as you are. Ah, my dear friends, the fire whispers to us tonight, doesn't it? Its soft glow seems to warm not just our faces, but the very corners of our hearts, where perhaps some chill has settled. And as you sit there, I can almost feel the quiet ache that many of you carry. It's an ache that speaks of longing, of a deep human need to be seen, to be cherished, to be held in affection. I remember when I was but a young monk, barely grown from a boy, how I yearned for the master's approving glance. I would scrub the temple floors until my hands were raw, fetch water from the deepest well, spend hours copying scriptures under the faint lamplight. My heart was a small, eager bird, always hoping to catch a crumb of recognition. And with every act, I felt a peculiar mixture of exhaustion and a desperate, fleeting hope. I truly believed that if I just did enough, if I just proved myself enough, then the love and respect I so craved would surely flow to me. But the truth, my friends, is a river that often carves its own slow path through solid rock, revealing itself only after much time and patience. And a truth I came to understand, one that was both a sharp sting and a gentle balm, was this: begging for love, for affection, for a place in another's heart, it doesn't make you more deserving. It only wears you down, like the ceaseless wind against a lone tree. It does not make people respect you more. Rather, it subtly teaches them that they can offer you but a mere whisper of consideration, and still, you will remain rooted in your longing. It is not an easy thing to admit, is it? For our pride often rebels against such a stark realization. We do not wish to think we have been less than cherished. But if we are truly honest in the quiet chambers of our own minds, we know this to be true. The more we plead, the more we chase, the more we unconsciously teach our own hearts to accept a kind of subtle disregard as normal. It's like tending a garden where you pour all your water and light into plants that barely stir while your own roots wither. Sometimes this begging takes forms we might not even recognize as begging. Have you ever, my friend, sent just one more message into the silence, long after your words have been ignored? That quiet plea, like a tiny bird tapping at a window that won't open. Or perhaps you've bitten back words of pain, remained silent about a hurt, simply because the thought of them turning away felt more unbearable than the sting itself. You hold it in, a tight knot in your stomach, hoping silence will keep them near. And what about forgiving, always forgiving, without any true change ever blooming from the other side? Or understanding, always understanding when no real effort is ever extended back to you? Giving, giving, giving until your own well runs dry. I have seen it many times, in the village and in my own past. A quiet laugh offered for a jest that shattered something inside you, just to avoid seeming too sensitive. Or the weary sigh, "It's okay," when every fiber of your being screams that it is most certainly not okay. Slowly, imperceptibly, we begin to live as though our own emotions are mere passing clouds of no great significance. Our needs become whispers in the wind, unheard. Our boundaries, once strong walls, crumble into dust. And our self-respect? Our precious self-respect. It becomes a coin we toss away, hoping to purchase a moment of attention. It is a harsh exchange, is it not? A trade that always leaves us poorer. But let us be clear, dear ones. True love, the kind that nourishes and elevates, was never meant to be a bargaining process. It was never a commodity you acquire through frantic self-demonstration like a street vendor shouting for recognition. Love was never meant to be something you implore for, like a hungry soul begging for a crust of bread. Real love, you see, arises organically. Like a spring from the earth, it flows naturally. It comes from deep respect, from honest sincerity, from two hearts that are truly engaged, beating in harmony, not one chasing the other. This is why, in my long years, I have come to understand that the most agonizing connections are not always the ones that end abruptly, like a sudden storm. No, often, the most painful relationships are the ones where you linger, where you stay, and with each passing day, you slowly, painstakingly, erode the very bedrock of your own self-esteem. It is a slow poison, unnoticed until its full effect is upon you. The ancient teachings, my friends, whisper a profound truth. Suffering begins to grow the very moment you attach your inherent value to the affirmation of others. Think of it like a boat tethered to a shifting sandbank. When you need someone else to choose you, to validate you, to affirm you in order to feel truly valuable yourself, you are no longer living freely. You are living in dependence, like a sapling that cannot stand without leaning on a stronger tree. You begin to treat love as a trophy that must be attained, affection as a prize that must be earned, attention as a fleeting butterfly that must be pursued relentlessly. And this mindset, this continuous chase, turns you into a captive. There are no visible chains, no prison bars you can see with your eyes. You are still breathing, still managing a smile, still moving through the world. But deep inside, you feel as though you are constantly waiting for some external validation, some nod from another before you can truly allow yourself to experience joy. The saddest part, perhaps, is that your very sense of self-worth becomes a weather vane, constantly turning with the winds of another's actions. If they reply quickly to your message, a wave of happiness washes over you. If their reply is delayed, a cold anxiety grips your chest. If their words are cold, you feel insecure, small. If they are sweet, a fragile hope flickers to life. Your own precious emotions, the very landscape of your inner peace, become controlled by their mood, by their whims, by their passing actions. My dear ones, that is not love. That is a state of emotional subjugation, a surrender of your inner kingdom. And the path we walk, the path of quiet wisdom, is always guiding us towards liberation, towards a peace that is not held hostage by anyone outside ourselves. This is why begging is so profoundly dangerous. It is a slow, insidious erosion of your very sense of self. It whispers to you that you are insufficient, incomplete, unworthy in your present state. It tells you that you must earn affection through performance, through constant demonstration, through an endless proving of your deservingness. And when you inhabit that state of mind, even when someone does offer you love, it never truly feels safe. Because deep down, the echo of your fear tells you it can be withdrawn at any moment, like a borrowed cloak. So you keep giving excessively. You keep analyzing every gesture. You keep sacrificing, depleting your own precious energy. And you call it love. But often, if we look closely, it is really fear wearing the mask of love. Another truth, perhaps even more painful, is this. When you beg, my friend, you are not only diminishing your own stature, you are also unconsciously elevating them in your perception. You begin to see them as superior, as rare and precious, as extraordinary, as though you must do anything, absolutely anything, to keep them in your orbit. And the moment you exalt someone to such an idealized status, you automatically place yourself below them. And when you put yourself in such a position, you forfeit your intrinsic strength. For then, they are no longer truly compelled to treat you with consideration. They do not need to be consistent, to be loyal, to be fair, because they know, deep down, that you are already emotionally ensnared. The ancient teachings call this attachment, and it fosters a powerful delusion. It makes you see someone as of greater worth than their true nature might suggest. It makes you ignore the subtle warning signs, the quiet signals of disrespect. It makes you downplay their acts of disregard or rationalize away behavior you would never accept from anyone else. You begin to whisper to yourself, maybe they will change. Maybe this is just a phase. Perhaps I am asking too much. Maybe I should just be more patient. But the truth, my friend, is that you do not need more patience for someone who consistently disregards you. What you need are clear, firm boundaries, like the sturdy fences around a well-tended field. You do not need more understanding for someone who keeps hurting you. What you need sometimes is distance, a quiet space to breathe and heal. And you certainly do not need more effort to prove your worth. What you need is to stop entrusting your inherent value, your bright, shining essence, to someone who simply fails to appreciate it. And here, dear ones, is where the true awakening often begins. You are not a commodity waiting patiently for a purchaser to pick you from a shelf. You are not a product hoping to be chosen from a myriad of options. You are not a casual choice to be picked up when leisure permits and set aside when inconvenient. No, my friend. You are a human being with a beating heart, with rich emotions, endowed with dignity and intrinsic worth that shines from within. And your worth does not diminish, not one bit, just because someone neglected to acknowledge it. Think of the sun, high in the sky. Does its magnificent light become less bright simply because a blind person cannot perceive it? now. Its radiance remains. Your value is real, profound, and undeniable, even if they chose to ignore it. That is why the most empowered moment in your life is not when someone finally chooses you or finally sees your worth. No, the strongest, most liberating moment in your life is when you stop begging. It is the moment you gather your quiet dignity and begin to walk away with peace. Because walking away is not weakness, my friend. It is not surrender. Walking away is wisdom. Walking away is the truest act of self-respect. Walking away is you finally saying with a gentle firmness, I do not need your love if it comes entangled with pain, with confusion, with humiliation. Walking away is you finally protecting your own heart, treating it as though it holds profound significance, which it does. Walking away is you finally treating yourself like you deserve more, because you do. The ancient teachings again remind us, the more tightly you cling, the more you suffer. But the more you release, the more free you become, like a bird finally taking flight from a cage. And the moment you truly stop begging for love, for attention, for affirmation, that is the moment you begin to heal. Because now, you are no longer pursuing others into the wilderness of their indifference. You are choosing peace within your own heart. Now, you are no longer hungering for external affirmation. You are diligently building inner stability, brick by quiet brick. Now, you are not waiting for someone else to complete you. You are achieving wholeness from within, understanding that you were always complete, just as you are. And that, my dear ones, is real power. So, as this night deepens, I ask you to consider this. Stop begging. Stop diminishing your own stature. Stop trying to prove yourself worthy. Stop imploring for diligence and consistent care. Stop staying in environments where your profound worth is not truly acknowledged. You were never meant to pursue affection as if it were a scarce resource. You were never meant to endure hardship merely to be selected. You were meant to be loved authentically, respected profoundly, and valued completely for the magnificent being that you are. And until someone can truly offer you that with a full and open heart, it is always, always better to be alone in peace beneath the silent stars than to be with someone and diminish the very essence of your being, day by quiet day. Ah, my dear ones, choosing such a path to walk alone in peace often brings with it a certain shadow, doesn't it? A whisper in the quiet moments, a slight chill around the heart, that feeling we call loneliness. Many times I have seen that fear keep hearts bound to relationships that drain their very light. We fear the emptiness of being by ourselves, don't we? We mistake the quiet for a void, a lack. But through the long years, and through countless hours watching the moon rise and fall over these mountains, I have come to understand something deeply. Loneliness, that gentle stillness, is truly not the enemy we imagine it to be. No, it is not. I remember old Master Hu, the one who lived in the small hermitage nestled amongst the bamboo grove just beyond the old tea fields. His hair was like spun snow, his robes patched countless times, and his face was a map of soft wrinkles from a lifetime of smiles and quiet contemplation. He lived entirely by himself, tending his small garden, brewing his bitter tea. From the village below, the younger folks would sometimes point and say, "Poor old Who, so lonely up there." But every time I visited him, the scent of earth and herbs filled his humble dwelling, and the sound of the wind through the bamboo was like a soft melody. He would greet me with eyes that shone with such a profound peace, such an inner warmth, that the very air around him felt alive. He was alone, yes, but never lonely. His solitude was a vast, open space where his spirit could truly breathe, unfettered. No, my friends, the true enemy is not that quiet space. The true adversary is something far more insidious, something that can cling to us even in the midst of a bustling crowd, even when surrounded by loved ones. It is emotional dependency. It is the deep-seated belief that our own happiness, our own worth, our very sense of being must come from another person. I once knew a young woman, bright as a morning star, who always seemed to be searching. Her laughter was quick, her smile radiant, but if you looked closely into her eyes when she thought no one was watching, there was a flicker of anxiety, a constant need for reassurance. She would rush from one friendship to another, one relationship to the next, always seeking that perfect reflection of herself in another's gaze. If a friend was busy, if a lover was distant for a day, her whole world would tilt. Her own lamp seemed to dim unless another's flame was there to make it shine. Her own opinions would shift like sand to match whoever she was with. Her own dreams often put aside to please another. Her heart, you see, was like a delicate instrument that could only play when someone else plucked its strings. Without that external touch, she felt silent, invisible. She was never truly alone, yet she carried a deeper, more profound sense of emptiness than old Master Hu ever did in his quiet hermitage. Her joy was borrowed, her peace conditional, always dependent on the presence and approval of others. This constant seeking, this yearning for external validation, creates a cage far more confining than any physical solitude. It binds your spirit day by day, making you forget the boundless strength that resides within your own heart. It makes you forget the vibrant colors that are inherently yours, without needing another to paint them on. Have you ever felt that pull, my friend? That internal knot, that quiet desperation when the phone doesn't ring or when a message goes unread? That feeling that your own worth dwindles if you are not seen, not acknowledged, not actively sought after by another. It's a subtle current sometimes, but it can pull us far from the shore of our own being. It whispers that we are incomplete, that we are not enough unless someone else affirms us. And that, dear ones, is the voice of true dependency. It is the voice that steals your inner peace, not the quiet company of your own soul under the silent stars. But sometimes, my friends, that quiet company feels like a vast, cold emptiness, doesn't it? I've seen it many times in the faces of those who come to the temple, their eyes wide with a fear that grips them tightly, like winter ice around a sapling. They speak of a person they cannot let go of, someone who has perhaps already drifted away like a wisp of smoke, yet their heart still strains, tethered to an invisible thread. It is not, I have come to understand, that this person is truly irreplaceable. No, the world is vast, and hearts are like rivers, always finding new paths. The true tremor, the deep ache that keeps them from sleep, is the profound fear of standing alone. Have you felt it, dear ones? That sudden lurch in the stomach, that tightening in the chest, when the mind whispers, "What if I am utterly, completely alone?" It is then that the spirit enters a kind of silent panic, not because the warmth of love has vanished, for sometimes true love was never truly there to begin with, but because the familiar bond, the very thread of attachment, feels jeopardized, threatened. This is the very moment I have observed when so many surrender their inner fortitude. Instead of simply allowing themselves to sit with that quiet, unsettling space that loneliness brings, they cling more desperately. Like a drowning man grasping at a broken reed, they pursue with a greater intensity, their footsteps echoing with an urgency that frightens away what little connection remains. They implore with earnest pleas, their voices often hoarse, and in doing so they often endure even more disregard, accept more pain, deeper wounds. It is not that they are weak-willed, my friends, far from it. Often they are the most resilient souls, those who have carried heavy burdens for years. But they are caught in the snare of emotional dependency. And that dependency makes the thought of being alone feel like the most dreadful occurrence imaginable. A kind of spiritual demise. I remember when I was a young monk, barely out of my teens. There was a woman in the village, Mei Ling, whose husband had left her for another. She was distraught, naturally. But what struck me was how she continued to weave beautiful tapestries, each thread imbued with a desperate hope that he would return. She would spend days by the village path, just watching, her hands idle, the raw silk growing dusty beside her. Her friends would bring her food, gently, suggest she move on, but she would only shake her head, her eyes distant. "I cannot," she would say, her voice barely a whisper. "Without him, I am nothing. My life has no meaning." She believed truly that her very identity was tied to his presence, even his distant, uncaring presence. What we learn, often slowly, painfully, through the crucible of life's lessons, is that loneliness is not our enemy. No, my friends. The true adversary is often our own fervent addiction to people, to the idea that another's presence is indispensable for our contentment. The real enemy is not the quiet of the night, not the silence that settles around us when all others have departed. The real enemy is the powerful, deeply held conviction that we cannot find joy, peace, or security without another's constant presence, their affirmation, their gaze upon us. Emotional dependency, you see, is when your heart hands over its own deep wisdom to another, making them the arbiter of your inner tranquility. It is when your mind, often without your conscious knowing, believes that someone else must be present for you to feel secure, to breathe easily. It is when we begin to think that love is a fragile thing, something we must grasp so firmly that our knuckles turn white. Because if we lose that grip, we will forfeit our very moment. Identity, our sense of self. And that belief, my dear friends, is the seed from which suffering blossoms. Because then we are not truly living. We are clinging. A heart that is dependent does not love with the spontaneous, unburdened joy of a mountain stream. No. It loves with apprehension, with a shadow of fear permeating every breath. a subtle tension underlying every thought. It loves while vigilantly scanning the horizon for signs of desertion, bracing for the sting of rejection, like a fragile bird constantly anticipating the hunter's arrow. That is why emotional dependency makes us ponder every single detail, dissect every word, every glance. It makes us preoccupied with the smallest alterations in behavior, acutely responsive to every slight change in mood or tone. I've seen it countless times. A simple "seen" message on a scroll left unreplied for an hour can ruin an entire afternoon. A cold reply, perhaps given in haste or distraction, can shatter one's confidence, sending thoughts spiraling into despair. A delayed response can make the mind conjure a myriad of distressing scenarios, each more painful than the last. And slowly, imperceptibly, we become a captive to someone else's focus, their attention, their whims. Our happiness, our very sense of worth rises and falls based on whether they are bestowing their affection upon us or, God forbid, depriving us of it. That, my friends, is not love. That is simply suffering, wrapped in a guise that feels like yearning. Many people, you see, mistake this dependency for love because it feels so intense. It feels deep, profound. It feels as if one cannot breathe without the other, as if one truly needs them to survive. But needing someone truly is not the same as loving someone. True love, the kind that warms the soul like this fire on a cold night, it is peaceful. It is stable, like the ancient stones of this temple. It feels safe, like a harbor in a storm. True love allows you to remain entirely yourself, whole and complete. But dependency feels like you are perpetually diminishing your own being, like a moon always waiting for the sun to give it light. It feels like you are always waiting for something, waiting for them to behave appropriately, waiting for them to choose you, waiting for them to become consistent, waiting for them to finally give you what you have been imploring for, sometimes for years. And the saddest part, my dear ones, is that while you are waiting, your precious, irreplaceable life is quietly slipping by, like grains of sand through an hourglass. The old teachings tell us that attachment, especially this kind of desperate clinging, creates an illusory feeling of security. It makes us believe that if we just hold on tight enough to someone, to a relationship, to an outcome, we will not suffer. But the profound truth, which life often forces us to learn in its own harsh way, is that clinging is the very cause of our suffering. Because attachment makes us resist reality. It makes us resist the natural flow of change. It makes us resist endings, which are as natural as new beginnings. It makes us resist the raw, unvarnished truth of a situation. You start holding on to a relationship that is evidently fading, like a flower whose petals have already fallen, because the mind, in its panic, perceives, if I let go, I will be utterly alone, lost at sea. But loneliness is not what undermines individuals, my friends. It is emotional dependency that truly corrodes the spirit. Dependency destroys your self-esteem, slowly, like water eroding stone. Dependency shatters your peace. It erodes your capacity for clear thought because now your entire emotional world, your inner compass, becomes controlled by someone else's actions, someone else's focus. This is precisely why loneliness feels so frightening. Because when you are emotionally dependent, Being alone forces you to face yourself, perhaps for the very first time in a long while. And many people, I have observed, do not wish to face themselves. They do not want to dwell in quietude because silence, that deep, resonant silence, often brings forth feelings they have actively evaded, perhaps for years. Silence brings pain sometimes. Silence brings back old memories, long buried. Silence brings truth, stark and undeniable. Silence brings self-awareness, a mirror reflecting what we have become. When you are alone, truly alone, in the quiet of your own space, there is no distraction. There is no other person to comfort you, to soothe the ache. There is no external attention to alleviate that inner void, that hollow feeling. And that, my friends, is why people so often retreat again and again to connections that cause them distress, connections that diminish them. Because pain shared with someone, even a painful connection, feels less daunting than confronting that vast inner void in solitude. But here, my dear ones, is the profound spiritual truth, a truth that has brought solace to countless hearts throughout the ages. Loneliness is not emptiness. No, not at all. Loneliness is space. It is space to breathe again, truly breathe, deeply and fully. It is space to heal again, to mend the wounds that have festered in the constant clamor of seeking. It is space to rebuild yourself, patiently, stone by stone. Space to find your own identity again, like rediscovering a long-lost path. Space to reestablish connection with your truest inner self, the quiet wisdom that resides deep within your heart. It is space to hear your own thoughts, your own deep yearnings, without the deafening clamor of another's presence dictating your every feeling. Loneliness is not your enemy, my friends. It is your training ground. It is the place where you become mentally resilient, like the ancient pines that bend but do not break in the fiercest winds. It is where you become emotionally self-reliant, learning to draw strength from your own wellspring. It is where you learn, with every quiet sunrise, that your peace requires no external sanction, no permission from another soul. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is like a lake. When people are constantly agitating your emotions, stirring the waters with their expectations, their moods, their demands, the lake stays muddy. You cannot see clearly through its depths. You cannot feel stable, your reflection distorted. But when you withdraw, when you disengage, when you stop pursuing, when you allow yourself to simply be, the lake becomes still again, slowly, imperceptibly. And when the lake becomes still, truly still, you begin to see truth. You see yourself clearly, perhaps for the first time in a long while. You see what you tolerated, what you ignored, what you allowed. You see the warning signs you were so readily mislabeling as affection, the disrespect you were calling a misunderstanding. You see how much precious energy you expended fruitlessly in a desperate attempt to secure what ought to have been inherently present, freely given. And this clarity, my dear ones, is initially painful, yes. It can sting like a cold wind, but it is also profoundly restorative, like a spring rain after a long drought, because now you are awakened. And slowly, day by day, loneliness begins to change you. At first, loneliness feels burdensome, like a heavy cloak. It feels like a punishment, a sign that you are undesired, unwanted. But if you abide with it, if you cease to flee from it, if you simply allow it to be, it begins to transform, like a caterpillar into a butterfly, into a deep, abiding peace. You start to savor your own solitude, finding small joys in the quiet moments. You start building routines that make you stronger, nurturing your own spirit. You start doing things for yourself simply because they bring you joy, without requiring external observation or applause. You stop requiring affirmation from others. You stop needing constant attention to feel alive. You stop needing people to validate your inherent worth, your deep, intrinsic value. And the day you truly stop needing people, my friends, is the glorious day you stop fearing their departure. Because now you are not emotionally captive. This is the profound power of being happy alone. It does not mean you hate people or that you have closed your heart to love, not at all. It means you no longer require love for your very existence, for your survival. It means you can love without clinging, like a bird soaring freely. You can care deeply without diminishing your own identity. You can be with someone, truly be with them, without fear controlling your every breath. And you can be alone in the quiet of your own being without collapsing into despair. This, my dear ones, is emotional freedom. This is true inner strength. This is the kind of peace that nobody, no external circumstance, no other person can ever steal from you. That is why being alone is not a curse, it is a gift. It is life itself instructing you, with gentle but firm hand, to cease offering your precious heart to people who fail to safeguard it, who do not cherish its delicate beauty. It is life giving you a chance to rebuild your own foundation, brick by firm brick, from the inside out. Because when you truly learn to stand independently, rooted deeply within yourself, you stop begging for crumbs. You stop chasing shadows. You stop settling for less than you deserve. And you become the kind of person who only welcomes others who approach with respect, with diligent effort, with genuine sincerity, and with a shared tranquility. So if you are alone right now, my dear friends, perhaps feeling that chill in the quiet hours of the night, please do not yield to panic. Do not rush back to someone who did not choose you, who did not truly see you. Do not run back to what shattered your spirit and left you broken. Sit with the silence. Sit with the space that has opened up before you. Let it hurt for a while, yes, because that pain is not destroying you. No, it is purifying you, like fire burning away. Dross. It is eliminating your reliance. It is slowly, patiently removing your addiction to external validation. It is training you, gently, to find a profound sense of belonging within your own being. And once you find that true home within the quiet sanctuary of your own heart, you will never implore for affection again. When we find that quiet sanctuary, that true home within us, my friends, sometimes it means we must also gently release the things we thought were keeping us warm, but were actually weighing us down. It's a subtle shift, like the turning of the seasons, often unnoticed until the new blossoms appear. I remember old Master Li, who lived just beyond the whispering bamboo grove near the old temple. His hands, gnarled and strong from years of tilling the earth, could coax the most vibrant colors from the soil. But after his dear wife, May, passed, he became strangely attached to a particular potted orchid. It was a rare variety, one she had cherished, and it never truly thrived in our temperate valley. Every morning, before the sun had fully kissed the dewdrops from the leaves, Master Li would be out there. I would see him from my meditation window, his silhouette against the pale dawn sky, his back bent over that struggling plant. He would shield it from the harsh sun, then bring it indoors when the nights turned cold, fussing over its pale, wilting leaves and stunted blooms. He'd speak to it in soft whispers as if it were May herself. "This orchid," he told me once, his voice heavy as he cradled a fragile stem, "it is all I have left of her living touch. If I let it go, what then?" His eyes held a deep sorrow, a fear that to release the orchid was to release her memory, to somehow lessen the love he still carried. He poured all his remaining strength into keeping it alive, and I could see the weariness in his spirit, mirroring the orchid's own struggle. The years passed like slow river stones. The orchid never truly flourished, its life force barely flickering. One particularly cold winter's night, a gust of wind swept through, and I heard a small, brittle snap from Master Li's garden. The next morning I found him sitting by the empty spot where the orchid usually stood. The pot lay shattered, the frail plant now truly withered and beyond saving. He looked up at me, his face etched with a strange calm, not the usual sorrow. He simply sighed, a long, deep breath that seemed to carry away years of unspoken burden. "Ming Xin," he said, his voice softer than the morning mist. "I spent so long trying to keep something alive that wasn't meant for this earth, not in this form. I thought I was honoring her, but all I did was cling to a shadow. And in doing so, I neglected the vibrant garden she had always wished for me to tend." He didn't plant another orchid. Instead, in the spring, he chose a hardy rose bush, one that loved our valley's soil and sunshine. He tended it with the same love, but this time there was a lightness in his movements, a gentle smile that had been absent for too long. The roses bloomed magnificently, their scent filling the air, and he would often sit amongst them, a cup of tea in his hand, a tranquil peace on his face. It wasn't that his love for May had vanished, no, not at all. It was simply that he had, in that quiet moment of release, chosen to love the peace in his own heart a little more. He understood that true love doesn't demand the impossible, nor does it thrive on endless sorrow. It allows what needs to go. And in that space, a new kind of love, a deeper self-compassion, could finally bloom. It was a recognition that his own well-being, his own continued journey, was as sacred as any memory. The embers glow softly tonight, don't they, my friends? The fire breathes a quiet warmth into the cold night air, and the scent of pine smoke mingles with the damp earth outside. Sometimes, in the quiet of such a night, when the world outside has hushed its ceaseless chatter, our own hearts begin to speak louder. And often, they speak of that most tender, most bewildering thing we call love. Perhaps some of you, dear ones, are sitting here tonight with a heart heavy with questions. Questions about what it means to truly care, and when that caring begins to weigh you down like a stone in a well. I have seen this struggle in so many faces over the decades, in the eyes of young lovers, and in the lines etched deep around the eyes of those who have seen many seasons. The truth, one of the most challenging truths for us fragile humans to embrace, is this: Letting go of someone does not diminish the genuine love you once held for them. It does not mean your emotions, those fervent hopes and tender moments, were insincere. Oh no, not at all. It does not mean those recollections, those precious fragments of shared laughter and quiet understanding suddenly lack value. And it certainly does not mean your heart was wrong for caring so deeply. I remember a woman from the next village, Mei Ling, a kind soul who tended her small tea garden with such devotion. She loved a man who always seemed just out of reach, like the mist clinging to the mountainside. She poured all her tenderness into him, year after year. She would tell me, with a wistful sigh, "Master, my heart aches. But isn't that proof of how much I love him?" Her eyes, once bright with youthful dreams, grew hollow like old riverbeds. Her shoulders, once strong from carrying baskets of tea leaves, seemed to stoop with an invisible burden. She believed truly that her suffering was a measure of her affection. She believed that enduring the constant apprehension, the gnawing uncertainty, the feeling of being uncherished was the price of deep connection. But what she finally understood, though it took many long, tear-soaked nights, was a truth that many of us learn only when our spirit is utterly parched. And that truth, my friends, is simple yet profound. Love is not meant to shatter your spirit. Love is not meant to make you forfeit that precious inherent self-respect that lies at the core of your being. Love is not supposed to turn you into a person who constantly feels like a withered leaf tossed by every passing breeze of another's mood. If you find yourself in a perpetual state of suffering just to maintain a connection to someone, then what you are clutching so tightly? It is no longer love. No, it is suffering, cunningly disguised, masquerading as affection. Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, it mimics the form, but its bite brings only pain. I have seen countless souls, much like Mei Ling, remain emotionally stagnant, caught in a swirling eddy because they have somehow come to idealize hardship. They whisper to themselves, or sometimes even declare aloud, that love is supposed to be hard, that it's meant to feel like a constant stress, a perpetual cycle of chasing, of proving oneself worthy, of endless anticipation, aspiration, and sheer endurance. They console themselves with familiar phrases. Every relationship has problems, they'll say, using this as a blanket excuse to consider emotional disregard as just a standard part of life's tapestry. Or, nobody is perfect, so they rationalize away acts of disrespect that chip away at their soul, piece by painful piece. "I just need to be more patient," they'll insist, pushing down the insistent cries of their own suffering heart, burying it under layers of hopeful denial. And slowly, so slowly that it's almost imperceptible, they begin to twist their perception. They start to see self-destructive behavior, this relentless pouring of themselves into an empty vessel, as a form of noble devotion. They begin to call suffering commitment. They redefine emotional longing, that raw, unfulfilled ache, as deep love. But this old monk, having sat by many fires and witnessed many dawns, can tell you what my own master taught me with his eyes full of quiet understanding. Buddhism teaches something utterly different. It teaches that peace, true peace, is not a recompense earned through endless hardship. It is not a prize awarded at the end of a long, arduous trial. No, my friends. Peace is the fundamental state of being, the quiet, clear pool within you that you must safeguard gently and diligently throughout your entire life's journey. But letting go. That simple phrase, letting go, often evokes a profound sense of demise for many people. It feels like a death, doesn't it? A loss so complete it can take your breath away. This is because the mind, that clever, complicated instrument, becomes ensnared by clinging. It grasps, often without our conscious command. The heart, so vulnerable and open, becomes attached to the familiar presence of that individual, even if that presence brings more shadow than light. Our emotions become tangled in the expectation that circumstances will ameliorate, that things will get better tomorrow, or the day after, or next year. And the ego, that proud little sentinel, becomes bound to the notion of needing to be chosen, of being deemed worthy. It whispers, "If I let go, it means I wasn't good enough." Because of this intricate web of attachment, we often do not let go when the relationship first turns detrimental, when the first cracks appear in the facade of happiness. No, we cling tighter. We let go only when our spirit is utterly depleted, when we feel hollowed out like an old tree trunk. We let go only when we can no longer endure the weight, when every breath feels like a struggle. We let go only when we have cried too many nights, when the moon has witnessed our sorrow countless times, and our heart, finally, from its very depths, realizes, this is not love. This is a gradual emotional submersion. It is like standing in a slowly rising tide, convincing yourself it will recede until the water is over your head. And here, my dear ones, is what makes letting go so intensely painful, so profoundly agonizing. It is not merely experiencing their physical departure or the absence of their voice. Oh no, it's much deeper than that. It is the forfeiture of the envisioned future, the beautiful, intricate tapestry you had so carefully woven in your mind, thread by hopeful thread. It is losing that aspirational vision of what you thought this could become, the quiet mornings, the shared dreams, the comforting us. It is the cruel extinguishing of the hope that one day they will change, that one day they will truly perceive your intrinsic value, that one day they will finally, authentically love you in the way you yearn to be loved. That is why letting go feels like a tearing at your very core, like a vital part of you is being ripped away. Because you are not just letting go of a person, no. You are letting go of an illusion, a beautiful, comforting fantasy you sustained within the quiet sanctuary of your own mind. And your mind, bless its intricate protective ways, will strive intensely, fiercely even, to preserve that illusion. It will fight to keep it alive because fantasy, that sweet, soft veil, often feels so much safer than the stark, often uncomfortable light of reality. My master used to say, the mind prefers a familiar cage to an unknown open field. Buddhism teaches us, with gentle persistence, that suffering happens precisely when you cling to that which lacks reality, to that which is merely a projection of your deepest desires. When you keep clinging to expectations that may never manifest, to emotional bonds that are frayed, to illusory beliefs about what could be, you suffer. Because life itself is always moving, always changing. like the river flowing outside our window. It is always showing you truth, moment by quiet moment. But attachment, that stubborn refusal to release, makes you resist that truth. It makes you resist endings, makes you resist the natural ebb and flow of all things. It makes you resist reality itself. So instead of seeing the relationship for what it truly is, for its current, undeniable form, you keep seeing it for its potential, for that shimmering could be. And this could be, my friend, becomes your prison. Your maybe becomes your chain, binding you tighter than any rope. Your hope, that most precious of human qualities, paradoxically becomes your deepest suffering. That is why, when you finally choose to release your grasp, it is never a sign of frailty. Never. It is, in fact, the most profound manifestation of clarity. It is the moment you stop deceiving yourself, stop whispering lies to your own heart. It is the moment you stop imploring, begging for what ought to arise organically, freely, and with genuine warmth. It is the moment you stop persuading yourself to remain in suffering simply because you once felt the intoxicating rush of love. Because love, true love, is not just a fleeting feeling like the warmth of this fire. Oh no. Love is behavior. Love is consistent effort. Love is unwavering respect. Love is protection of the other's spirit. Love is consistency, like the sunrise each morning. If someone only gives you love when it conveniently benefits them, when it fills a void in their own life, but becomes absent like a ghost in the mist when you truly need them, that is not love. If someone only chooses you, only truly sees you when they are lonely, but disregards you as if you were a shadow when their attention is elsewhere, that is not love. If someone makes you feel like you are overly demanding or too much for merely requesting fidelity, for asking for a simple truth, that is not love. Love, true love, my dear ones, never, ever makes you feel like a burden. It lightens your load. It does not add to it. I have known many who are apprehensive of releasing their grasp, not because they don't see the suffering, but because they perceive it as a personal failure. They whisper to themselves in the dark, maybe I was not good enough. They fret, maybe if I had only tried harder, just a little harder, it would have worked. They agonize, maybe I gave up too early, walked away before the miracle arrived. But the truth, a truth as clear as this night sky, is that sometimes the most profoundly compassionate act you can offer yourself, the kindest thing you can do for your weary spirit, is to simply stop trying. Because effort, true effort in a relationship, should not only come from one side, like a lone rower battling a strong current. Love should not only be carried like a heavy stone by one heart. If you were the only one fighting, the only one striving, the only one sacrificing, then you are not truly in a play. Relationship. You are in a singular emotional conflict, a battle against yourself and a phantom. And if you stay in that battle, dear friend, you will eventually, utterly, forfeit your very sense of self. You will look in the mirror one day and wonder who that stranger is looking back. My teacher, with his quiet smile, always reminded us, when you cling, you suffer, and when you release, you heal. Letting go is not about forgetting them entirely, for memories, both sweet and bitter, are part of our journey. No, it is about liberating your spirit, about untying the knots that bind your own wings. It is about gently, but firmly, removing your heart from a place where it is perpetually being harmed, like a tender sapling growing in rocky, barren ground. It is about choosing peace, that quiet, steady inner state over chaos. It is about choosing self-respect, that sacred inner dignity over supplication, over constantly begging for crumbs of affection. It is about choosing your emotional well-being, that precious inner garden, over emotional dependence, that thorny vine that chokes the light. Because every single day you stay in a distressing bond of attachment, you are subtly, unconsciously, teaching your mind that pain is normal. You are training your heart to accept the absolute least, to settle for less than it deserves. You are diminishing your expectations, lowering the bar for your own happiness. You are eroding your sense of self-value, like a steady stream wearing away a stone. And you do not even realize the full extent of this diminishment until you look in the mirror one day, perhaps just like that fisherman I mentioned earlier, and you ask yourself with a startled breath, "Who have I become?" Letting go, my friends, is that profound moment you decide, "I will not diminish my true self any further." It is the moment you decide, with a quiet strength, "I will no longer pursue anyone who consistently renders me unseen, unheard, unvalued." It is the moment you decide, with an unwavering resolve, "I will no longer implore for affection, for kindness, for respect, that ought to arise organically, freely, like a flower blooming in its own time. And yes, I will not lie to you at first. Letting go will hurt. It will. You will miss them. You will think of them in the quiet hours of the night when the fire crackles low. You will remember old memories, those bittersweet echoes, and they will feel like ghosts in your chest. You will feel a profound void, a deep ache, a sense of emptiness where something once resided. And there will be moments, fleeting but powerful, where you want to run back, to cling to the familiar, even if it brought pain. But my master taught me that pain is not the enemy. Pain is a part of healing. It is an aspect of emotional withdrawal, like the body shedding a fever. Pain is the mind purifying itself, cleansing itself from the old habits of clinging. Because when you let go of someone who did not truly choose you, who did not genuinely nurture your spirit, you are not just experiencing the departure of an individual. No, you are breaking a habit, a deeply ingrained pattern of thought and action. You are severing a reliance, a dependence that had become a part of your daily rhythm. You are disrupting an emotional pattern, a familiar dance of giving and receiving, even if what you received was mostly pain. You are discontinuing the habit of compromise, of always bending, always shrinking. In breaking old patterns, like breaking old bones that have healed incorrectly, always hurts. But it hurts for a profound, sacred reason, because it is rebuilding you from the inside out. It is cleansing you like a fresh rain washing away the dust. It is honing your inner resilience, sharpening your spirit like a well-used blade. It is upgrading your very soul, preparing you for a journey that is truly your own. And here, my dear ones, is the most potent realization. the quiet dawn after the longest night. Letting go is not the end. Oh no, it is truly the beginning. It is the beginning of peace, a quiet, steady peace that resides within you, unshakable by the storms outside. It is the beginning of self-respect, a gentle dignity that you reclaim for yourself. It is the beginning of emotional freedom, a lightness of being that allows you to breathe deeply once more. It is the beginning of your flourishing, your healing, your rebirth. The version of you that once implored, that once begged for love, will cease to exist, like an old skin shed. And the version of you that chooses dignity, that chooses self-worth, will rise, like the sun over the eastern mountains. So if you are letting go of someone right now, perhaps even as you sit here listening to the fire, do not reproach yourself for loving them. Do not reproach yourself for trying, for pouring your heart out. Do not reproach yourself for caring so deeply, for being so open. Your love was real as the beating of your own heart. Your heart was sincere, as pure as the mountain spring. But now it is time, sacred time, to love yourself more. Because the most profound spiritual act you can undertake, the most compassionate offering you can make, is to stop pouring your precious heart, your vibrant spirit, into a place where it is continually squandered, continually taken for granted. Sometimes, my friends, the greatest act of love is not clinging. It is knowing when, with grace and courage, to release. And when you release, you do not lose love. No, you reclaim your peace. Yes, my friend. And often, that peace arrives not when we finally catch what we were chasing, but in the very moment we finally decide to stop running. Have you ever felt that? That breathless exhaustion after years of striving, of reaching, of pulling, only to realize the prize somehow feels empty or has slipped through your fingers yet again. It's a heavy burden, that constant pursuit. I remember a man, old Master Lee, a woodcarver from the village down the valley. He wasn't always Master Lee. For decades, he was just Lee, a young man with ambition burning fiercely in his eyes, always studying the grand sculptures of the capital, dreaming of crafting masterpieces that would stand tall in temples and palaces. He would spend countless hours, hunched over blocks of fragrant cedar or resilient oak, his brow furrowed, his hands working with a frantic energy. The workshop always smelled of sawdust and his own desperate sweat. He would force the wood, my friend, trying to bend its grain to his will, to impose his grand visions onto its stubborn heart. His chisels would sing a sharp, angry song against the wood, and often pieces would crack, splintering under the pressure of his insistent desire for perfection. He slept little, I heard. His mind would spin with designs, with critics' imagined words, with the fear of never being enough. He chased recognition, chased a particular style he thought he should have, chased the applause he believed would finally quiet the gnawing doubt within him. His meals often went cold, forgotten amidst a new burst of furious carving, his wife's gentle calls unanswered from the doorway. He was always chasing something just beyond his reach, a phantom of success. I understood some of that restlessness, you know. When I was a young monk, barely taller than this fire pit, I too chased enlightenment. I chased stillness in meditation, chased profound insights in ancient texts, chased the approval of the elder monks, I would sit for hours, my legs numb, my mind a tempest, trying to force the peace to come. I believed if I just tried hard enough, read enough, recited enough, I would finally achieve it. But the harder I chased, the further. It seemed to recede, like a wisp of smoke caught on the wind. My breath would become shallow, my shoulders tight, a constant tension, even in the supposed pursuit of liberation. It was a tiring way to live, even within the quiet walls of the temple. Old Lee, he kept chasing for many years, until one day, a quiet, insistent pain settled in his joints, making the precise work of carving almost unbearable. His hands, once so strong and demanding, began to tremble with fatigue, no longer obeying his frantic will. He sat down by his workshop window, watching the rain fall, each droplet painting the dusty glass with streaks of silver. The air smelled of damp earth and the sweet, forgotten scent of the untouched forest. Outside, he saw a gnarled piece of rootwood in the corner, a piece he had always dismissed as unusable because it didn't fit his grand plans. It was imperfect, twisted, full of flaws in his younger, ambitious eyes. He simply sat there, watching the rain, no longer able to chase anything. He felt a strange quietness settle over him. The urgency drained away, leaving only the gentle thrum of his own tired heart. And in that quiet, his eyes fell upon the rootwood again. This time, he didn't see what he wanted it to be. He simply saw what it was. Its twists, its knots, its rough, imperfect beauty. He saw the story the wood itself held, not the one he tried to force upon it. Slowly, carefully, he picked up a small, fine chisel. He didn't have a plan, my friend. He just began to follow the wood's natural contours, letting the grain whisper to his fingers. He listened to the wood. He allowed it to suggest its form, revealing hidden faces, graceful curves, organic shapes that he would never have conceived in his earlier, forceful days. He wasn't imposing his will anymore. He was collaborating, coaxing, discovering. His hands moved with a lightness they had never known, guided by an inner stillness rather than an outer demand. And then something wonderful began to happen. His work transformed. It was no longer striving for an imagined perfection, but expressing an innate, soulful beauty. People from far-off towns who had never heard of the ambitious Lee began to seek out Master Lee, the carver whose pieces seemed to breathe with life, whose figures emerged from the wood as if they had always been waiting there. They weren't buying his pieces because they were grand or famous, but because they felt authentic. They chose him, not for what he chased, but for what he had quietly become. He never became rich, my friend, not by the world's measure. But his days were filled with a profound contentment. The chisels sang a softer, more harmonious tune. His sleep was deep and peaceful. His life, in its quiet unfolding, began to choose him. It offered him meaning, connection, and a deep, abiding peace, simply because he had finally laid down the burden of chasing. It is a quiet thought, isn't it? A whisper in the stillness of the night, perhaps like the soft rustle of leaves outside our window, or the gentle sigh of this fire. There comes a moment, my friends, a profound moment that may seem utterly unremarkable to the bustling world outside, yet within the quiet chambers of your own heart, it can be a spiritual revelation more potent than any grand ceremony. It is the moment when you finally, truly, stop pursuing. Not because your heart has grown cold, mind you. Not because you have become indifferent or lost all feeling. Oh no. It is because your very soul, the deepest part of you, has grown weary. Have you ever felt that profound weariness, dear ones? That deep-seated exhaustion that comes not from physical exertion, but from the endless striving, the unceasing effort poured into paths that offered no reciprocal flow, no gentle return. It is the weariness of demonstrating your worth, day after day, to eyes that seem incapable of seeing it. The fatigue of imploring for what ought to have arisen as freely as the morning dew. I remember when I was a young monk, barely taller than these embers, I would sometimes spend hours trying to coax a stubborn vine to grow where I wanted it, tying it, pulling it, until one day, the old abbot, with a quiet smile, simply said, "Ming Xin, a vine knows where it wishes to climb. If it struggles, perhaps that place is not for it." And he gently untied my knots. The vine, left to its own accord, eventually found a sunnier wall and flourished. When that deep weariness finally settles in and you cease the chase, something truly remarkable happens inside you. It is as if a long-held breath is finally released. Your dignity, which might have felt bruised and tattered, slowly begins to mend itself, piece by quiet piece. Your confidence, perhaps hidden beneath layers of doubt, starts to glow again, like a forgotten lamp rekindled. And that elusive peace, the one you chased so desperately outside yourself, begins to seep in, a quiet, gentle tide. Your mind, which perhaps felt like a restless bird perpetually flapping against a cage, finds the space to breathe again, to soar in its own sky. Most people, my friends, do not truly understand the extent to which this constant pursuit diminishes their spirit until they finally lay it down. For chasing is not merely a series of actions, the hurried messages, the anxious glances, the careful words. It is a mindset. It is a disposition, a posture of the soul that whispers to you day and night that you are perpetually lagging. It tells you that you are always lacking something vital, always striving to attain affection, recognition, acceptance. And when you live in that mindset, you are, without realizing it, continuously conveying a silent, corrosive message to your own precious heart. You are not enough. You tell yourself in the quiet hours, if I were truly valuable, I wouldn't have to chase. Or, if I truly mattered, they would stay, they would see. And slowly, imperceptibly, like a stream carving away at soft earth, you begin to erode your intrinsic self-value. You start to feel diminished, interchangeable, as if your affection must be merited through hardship, through endless proving. The Buddha, in his profound wisdom, taught us that our suffering increases when our mind develops an insatiable craving, a craving for acceptance, a hunger for attention, a longing for affirmation, a yearning for reassurance. And this chasing, this endless pursuit is exactly that, a form of hunger. It is you, my dear ones, seeking tranquility in an inappropriate locale. It is you trying to alleviate a deep internal void with someone else's presence, with their fleeting attention, with their intermittent warmth. And the poignant truth is, no matter how much attention you manage to garner, it will never truly be enough. Because true hunger, the spiritual hunger that gnaws at the core, does not end with a singular external satisfaction. No. True hunger ends when you Heal the core within you that holds the deep-seated conviction of needing to pursue to be deemed worthy. That is why, even when the person returns, even when they send a message, even when they offer a modicum of affection, you still do not feel fully safe. You still do not feel truly calm. Because deep down, you know it can disappear again like smoke in the wind. You know it is unstable. You know it is not solid ground. And so your mind stays trapped, held captive by the relentless grip of fear. But the moment, that quiet, potent moment, you cease the chase, a new vitality begins to permeate your very existence. At first, it will feel strange, perhaps even uncomfortable. Your heart, you see, has been conditioned to pursue, like a loyal hound always straining at the leash. Your emotions have become accustomed to clinging, like moss to a stone. Your mind has been habituated to search, to scan the horizon for a sign, a whisper, a trace. So when you finally stop, it feels like the profound silence after a long, drawn-out war. Your body might still expect the familiar ache of pain. Your mind might still expect the drama, the turmoil. Your heart might still brace itself for the sting of rejection. But if you stay in that silence, my friends, if you allow yourself to linger there long enough, you will begin to hear something you may not have heard in a very, very long time. You will start to hear your authentic voice, a steady hum beneath the clamor. You will hear your profound truth, clear as a mountain spring. You will feel your intrinsic worth, solid as the earth beneath us, and your inherent power, a quiet strength that has always resided within. When you stop chasing, you also begin to perceive reality through an entirely new lens, as if a long-present haze has finally lifted. You stop viewing individuals as conquests to be won. You stop seeing connections as a mere means for your own existence, to feel whole. You stop seeing love as something for which you must constantly prove your merit, like a performer auditioning for applause. Instead, you begin to see love for what it truly is, in its purest form. Something reciprocal, something spontaneous, something tranquil, and above all, something honorable. You begin to notice things you had ignored before, small whispers that your striving heart had dismissed. You begin to notice the subtle warning signs you had rationalized away as minor concerns. You begin to notice how depleted you felt, how apprehensive you were, how emotionally weary you had become, constantly treading cautiously, simply to maintain proximity with someone who offered so little in return. And in that quiet observation, you begin to realize that you were not experiencing genuine love at all. No, you were trapped in a demanding cycle, a cycle of desperate attachment, fleeting hope, inevitable disappointment, and recurring pain. Buddhism teaches that life becomes immeasurably less burdensome the instant you relinquish clinging. Because attachment, my dear ones, makes everything onerous. It makes you cling to people who do not truly value the light you bring. It makes you cling to relationships that are already defunct, like holding on to the husk of a fruit long after the sweetness is gone. It makes you cling to memories that are already finished, replaying them over and over. And sometimes, it even makes you cling to aspects of your past self that no longer align with the beautiful evolution unfolding within you. But once you release, once you truly let go, you feel a profound internal buoyancy. You feel lighter, as if a heavy burden carried for too long has finally been lifted from your heart. And here, my friends, is the truly beautiful part, the quiet miracle that unfolds. Once you stop chasing, you stop existing in that state of despair, that anxious leaning forward. Your energy changes. Your very presence changes, radiating a different kind of light. Your aura changes, becoming calm and centered. You start moving differently through the world. You stop reacting to every small thing, every fleeting text, every shift in mood. You stop imploring for responses, for validation. You stop checking your phone every second, every minute for a sign. You stop thinking, maybe they will come back. You stop planning your precious life around someone who is not even a consistent, steady presence in it. You stop making excuses for people who consistently disappoint you, and you stop constructing your own fragile joy upon the ephemeral moods of another. And when you stop doing these things, you become calm. Calm. Many people do not realize this, but calm, my friends, is power. A deep, unshakable power. The energy of chasing, you see, is unappealing not just to other people, but to the very universe itself. Because chasing is the energy of lack. It is the energy of need. It is the energy of emptiness. It is the silent plea of, please do not leave me. And when you move with that energy, you inadvertently attract more. Situations that perpetuate your sense of deficit, more incomplete affection, more confusion, more unstable connections, more transient individuals, more disappointments. But when you stop chasing, you step into a new energy entirely. The energy of self-respect, solid and true. The energy of completeness, whole unto itself. The energy of peace, still and deep. The quiet conviction of, I will be okay, with or without you. And that energy, my dear ones, that is truly alluring. Because it comes from strength, from an inner wellspring, not from dependence or desperation. The moment you stop chasing, life itself begins to choose you, too. Flow towards you, because you finally become prepared for more favorable circumstances. You finally become ready for people who do not engage in manipulative games. You finally become ready for relationships that do not require you to sacrifice the very essence of who you are. You finally become ready for love that feels calm, like a quiet sunrise, not chaotic and stormy. You finally become ready for connections that are consistent, like the turning of the seasons, not confusing and uncertain. Because the truth is, you cannot receive profound and genuine love when your heart is addicted to superficial attention, like a child craving only sweets. You cannot receive true peace when your mind is addicted to drama, to the constant ebb and flow of emotional turbulence. You cannot receive stability when your emotions are attached to instability, to the thrill of uncertainty. So, life waits. Life waits patiently until you disengage. Life waits until you heal those old wounds. Life waits until you stop chasing what was never truly destined for you. And only then, my dear ones, it brings you what is real. And even if life does not instantly manifest a new individual or a grand new connection, it brings something far, far more important first. It brings you back to yourself. It brings you self-trust, that quiet knowing. It brings you confidence, a gentle inner glow. It brings you clarity, sharp and true. It brings you internal security, a sanctuary within your own being. You start becoming someone who finds contentment in solitude, like an old tree that grows, strong and deep alone in the forest. Someone who cultivates their inner garden silently without needing to show off every bloom. Someone who protects their peace fiercely like a precious treasure. Someone who does not excessively reveal their innermost feelings to people who have not earned that sacred trust. Someone who possesses a profound, unshakable understanding of their own inherent value. A light that needs no external mirror to reflect it. And once you become that person, my friends, the world cannot use you in the same way anymore. This is why chasing truly ends when healing begins. Because healing teaches you, in its gentle wisdom, that you do not need to implore for affection. Healing teaches you that you do not need to contend for notice, for attention. Healing teaches you, in the deepest part of your being, that you do not need to demonstrate your worth to another. Healing teaches you that if someone does not choose you, it is not your job to persuade them, to plead with them, to change their mind. No, it is your job, your sacred task, to walk away and choose yourself with unwavering love and respect. And that decision, my dear ones, that quiet, firm decision is the most potent choice you can ever make, because it disrupts the cycle. It ends the suffering. It ends the addiction. It ends the indignity. So remember this. In the quiet of this night, remember this truth that echoes through the ages. The moment you stop chasing, you stop suffering. The moment you stop begging for crumbs, you start to truly manifest your being, whole and complete. The moment you stop striving to be adequate for people who do not deserve the gift of you, you finally become enough for yourself. And when you become enough for yourself, truly enough, you no longer fear abandonment, because you are no longer forsaking your own being. That, my friends, is true freedom. That is true peace. That is the true spiritual power that resides within each of you, waiting to be rediscovered. Sometimes, my dear friends, we spend so much of our lives waiting. Have you felt it too? That quiet ache deep in the chest for someone to arrive, someone to understand, someone to lift the burdens that feel too heavy for our own shoulders. We wait for a sign, a mentor, a partner, a child to change, a friend to finally see us clearly. And in that waiting, sometimes, the years just drift by like smoke from this very fire. We look out at the world, our eyes, scanning the horizon, hoping for that one person, that magical presence who will finally save us from ourselves, from our dilemmas, from the quiet despair that sometimes settles in the late hours of the night. I remember when I was but a young monk, barely 20 winters old, full of questions and doubts. I thought wisdom would arrive like a sudden flash of lightning, or that a great master would appear, touch my head, and all my confusion would vanish. I spent years observing the older monks, hoping to find the one who held all the answers, the one who would show me the secret path. I would sit by the temple gate watching the pilgrims arrive, each one a potential bearer of that elusive truth. The air would be crisp, carrying the scent of incense and damp earth, and I would feel this deep, persistent yearning, waiting for someone to point the way. There was an old woman, elder Sister Lin, who lived just outside our temple walls. She had lost her husband young and raised her children alone, yet she always had a quiet smile. Her hands were gnarled from years of working her small garden, coaxing life from the stubborn soil. I would often see her tending her patch of greens, her back bent, her movements slow but deliberate. One evening, as the last light faded behind the hills and the first stars pricked the indigo sky, I found myself sitting near her fence. I confessed my longing, my endless waiting for someone to save me from my own ignorance. She paused, wiping her brow with a worn cloth. The smell of the rich earth clung to her. She looked at me, her eyes kind and knowing, like ancient pools of water. "Young monk," she said, her voice soft as the rustling leaves. "Do you think the seeds in my hand wait for someone else to grow them? Do they wait for a grand speech or a magical touch?" She held up a small handful of tiny seeds, barely visible in the fading light. "No," she continued, "they hold the potential within. They just need the right earth, the right water, the right sunlight, and their own will to push through." She didn't lecture me, my friend. She just returned to her weeding, humming a faint, wordless tune. But her simple words, like those tiny seeds, began to sprout within me. I realized then, sitting there in the cool evening air, listening to the crickets begin their nightly chorus, that the savior I was so desperately seeking was not going to arrive from outside. The person I was awaiting, with all the answers, all the strength, all the gentle wisdom, that person was meant to be me. It was a quiet revelation, not a thunderclap, but like the slow, steady rise of the moon, illuminating what was always there. It meant tending my own garden, cultivating my own inner soil. It meant taking responsibility for the seeds of thought I planted, the water of emotion I nourished them with, the sunlight of awareness I allowed to shine upon them. It meant understanding that the path was not to be given to me, but to be walked by me, step by quiet step. The strength wasn't out there, waiting to be bestowed. It was here, in the willingness to take the next breath, to face the next challenge, to simply be present. So when the heart feels heavy, and the mind searches restlessly for an external hand to guide it, perhaps pause for a moment. Feel the warmth of this fire on your skin. Listen to the gentle crackle. And ask yourself, softly, not as an accusation, but as a tender inquiry, is there a part of me, the deep, true self, that I have been waiting for? A self that is ready to emerge, not because someone saved it, but because it decided, quietly, to bloom. Sometimes when the embers glow low like this and the night deepens, I remember a common whisper I've heard echoing through the years, a whisper that tells us to wait for someone to come, someone to finally see us, to truly love us, to choose us, to comprehend the silent language of our hearts, to finally stay. It's a quiet, insidious belief, isn't it? Like a gentle fog that rolls in, making us believe the sun will only truly shine when another person arrives to hold its light for us. And because of this belief, we wait, my friends. We hope, we search, We pore over faces in a crowd, listen for a particular cadence in a voice, hoping it will be the one to mend the inner suffering we carry, the quiet ache that sometimes stirs within us at 3 a.m. I've seen it in so many eyes, even in my own, when I was but a young monk, barely understanding the intricate dance of human emotion. This path we walk, this ancient teaching, it doesn't offer easy answers, but it offers awakening. It whispers a truth so profound it can stir the very core of your being. The more we rely on another for our salvation, for the mending of our heart, the more we unknowingly postpone our own spiritual blossoming. It's like waiting for rain in a desert, when the well is already deep within your own earth. The truth, you see, is both simple and hard to swallow, like a strong herbal tea. No one is truly coming to aid your heart in the exact way you envision. The peace you yearn for, that deep, settled calm, it isn't residing within another person, no matter how kind or loving they may be. No, that peace, my dear ones, is hiding. It's hiding inside the version of you that you haven't quite become yet. It's waiting for you to find it. I've seen many people, burdened by a kind of quiet sorrow, stumble through the landscape of love, not just seeking connection, but yearning for an escape from the stillness of loneliness that can sometimes feel like a cold room, an escape from the swirling mists of uncertainty that cloud their future, an escape from that inner void, a hollow space that seems to echo with every unanswered question. They try to flee the sensation of inadequacy, that nagging feeling of not quite being enough. So when a kind soul steps forward, offering even a small measure of attention, a flicker of warmth, it can feel like a sudden glorious relief, like the first rays of sun after a long, dark winter. It feels like healing. It feels like safety. And then the mind, ever eager for comfort, begins to form an attachment, sometimes with breathtaking rapidity. Not because this person is necessarily the right one, no, but because for a precious moment, they are, alleviating that profound, aching void. It's a temporary balm, isn't it? This is why, my friends, we can find ourselves so emotionally bound so quickly, even to someone who is inconsistent, like a river that changes its course with every season. It's not truly the individual we are yearning for in those moments. It's the feeling of not being alone anymore, the simple comfort of a shared breath in the quiet night. But when our love, our affection, is founded upon this deep expectation of rescue, of being saved, then suffering becomes an almost certain companion. Because then, your happiness, your very sense of self, hangs precariously on how well another person is fulfilling their perceived role. If they are kind, you feel good, like a flower turning to the sun. If they become distant, you feel yourself collapse, like that flower wilting under a sudden shadow. If their love shines, you feel alive, vibrant. If they ignore you, even for a moment, you can feel worthless, as if your very essence has dimmed. Your emotions in such a state become like a fragile leaf caught in the wind, tossed and turned wherever their energy pushes you. This, my dear ones, is not the deep, abiding love we speak of in these ancient teachings. This is emotional dependence. This is entrusting the delicate essence of your being into another person's hands, hoping they will handle it gently, like a precious bird's nest. And sadly, most people do not handle it gently. Not because they are malicious or evil, no, but because they are human, just like us. Confused, sometimes selfish, often immature, or simply not walking on the same path, not aligned with the unique journey of your spirit. The world, as this old monk has observed over many decades, is a tapestry woven with threads of uncertainty. People are uncertain, their moods shifting like the morning mist. Feelings are uncertain, ebbing and flowing like the tide. And that, my friends, is why basing your inner peace, your deep serenity on these external things is a certain path toward hardship. Because everything outside of you, every single thing, can change at any moment. People can leave, like birds, migrating south. People can lose interest, like a fire slowly turning to ash. People can change, can disappoint, can simply walk away. If your peace depends on them, truly, how can it ever be stable? How can it ever be truly yours? This is why I believe the strongest people among us are not the ones who are universally loved by everyone. No, the strongest are the ones who have taken the time, the quiet moments, to establish their own internal bedrock, a foundation within themselves that no storm can shake. And it is right here, in this quiet resolve, that the real transformation begins. The day, my dear ones, the very day you stop looking for someone to save you, to rescue you from the depths, that is the day you truly begin saving yourself. It's not a dramatic event, often. It's a quiet morning, perhaps, when you wake and feel a subtle shift, a sense of taking your own hand. This is the day you stop waiting for another's affection to instill self-assurance within you, and you begin the steady, quiet work of building confidence through your own discipline, brick by brick. This is the day you cease waiting for someone to choose you, and you begin, gently but firmly, choosing yourself every single day in 1,000 small ways. This is the day you stop waiting for another to bestow happiness upon you like a gift, and you begin, with intention, to build a life that makes you proud, a life imbued with your own unique meaning. Because when your life is truly imbued with meaning, like a well-tended garden, you stop imploring for notice from others. You simply bloom. When your heart is full of self-respect, a quiet dignity settles within you, and you stop accepting crumbs from others, knowing your own worth. When your mind is strong, like an ancient oak, you cease fearing rejection. You understand that some things are simply not meant to be, and that is not a reflection of your value. Many people, I've observed, don't quite realize this, but the reason rejection can devastate them so completely, leaving them feeling shattered, is often because they do not yet have a strong, unwavering relationship with themselves. They haven't forged a profound bond with their own soul, with the quiet voice within. They don't yet know how to truly abide in their own company, to sit in silence and feel whole. They don't know how to console their own being, to be gentle with their own hurts. They haven't yet learned how to become their own sanctuary, their own safe harbor. So when someone leaves, like a ship departing from a distant shore, it feels as though everything collapses because that person in their mind had become their emotional home. But our teachings, my friends, remind us of a profound truth. Your true home, your deepest sanctuary, must reside inside you. Your home must be your own mind, clear and calm like a mountain lake. Your home must be your own peace, unwavering and deep. Because if your home is perpetually outside, if it depends on others, you will always lack a true dwelling when people inevitably walk away, when paths diverge, when circumstances shift. So, you see, you must become the person you were awaiting. You must become the one who protects your own heart, guarding it with care. You must become the one who calms your own mind, soothing its worries like a lullaby. You must become the one who supports you in moments of tribulation, a steady hand in the dark. You must become the one who stays with you through pain, a constant presence. Because when you become that person, truly, deeply, you no longer fear the departure of others in the same way. Losing people may still bring a pang of sorrow, a gentle ache, but it will not break you. It cannot shatter your spirit. And that, my dear ones, is what real emotional strength looks like. A quiet, unshakable resilience. Being the person you were awaiting means you stop seeking love as a means of defining your very selfhood. You stop employing connections with others to affirm your worth, your value. You stop using attention, the fleeting glance of another, to feel alive, to feel seen. You stop requiring others to validate your inherent value because you already know it, like the sun knows its own light. Instead, you begin to affirm your inherent value through your actions, through your quiet discipline, through your steady growth, through your deep healing, through the pursuit of your own goals, through your cherished moments of silence, through your gentle self-control. Because the truth, as I have witnessed time and again, is that the world, in its own way, respects a person who respects themselves. And life, in its boundless wisdom, begins to offer you better when you, yourself, stop settling for less. This is why, sometimes, some people never truly experience a love that is deep and resonant, because they are too busy pursuing affection, often to the detriment of their own self-development. They are too busy imploring for notice, like a child tugging at a parent's sleeve rather than cultivating that deep inner self-assurance. They are too busy demonstrating their value to individuals who, perhaps, do not even merit such attention, instead of focusing on their own true purpose, their own blossoming. And in this endless chase, they lose so much. They lose precious time. They lose vital energy. They forfeit their quiet dignity. They lose countless opportunities to grow. But the moment you stop chasing, my friends, the very moment you pause, breathe, and begin building, that is when your life truly changes. Because now, you are not frantically hunting for love in the outer world. You are becoming love itself, a wellspring within. And when you become love, you attract love that is natural, authentic, and flows with grace, not something forced or desperately sought. This ancient path, these quiet teachings, they reveal that your greatest power, the most profound force within you, is awareness. Awareness is what awakens you from the long dream of waiting. Awareness is what truly liberates you from old patterns. Awareness is what disrupts the cycle of seeking outside yourself. When you become truly aware that you have been searching for someone to rescue you, to complete you, you simply stop making the same mistake. You stop giving strangers, or even familiar faces, the capacity to dictate your emotional state, to toss your heart about. You stop giving temporary people who may only be passing through the ability to erode your deep sense of self. You stop handing your precious heart to someone who does not even know how to tend to it with due care, with gentleness and respect. And instead, with a quiet strength, you take your heart back. You take it back into your own hands, and you treat it like something sacred, a precious jewel. So what do we do now with this understanding, with these insights shared by the firelight? We stop constructing our entire existence around the expectation of being selected, of being chosen by another. We stop building our happiness around the fleeting notion of being loved by someone else. We stop assessing our immeasurable worth based on the actions or inactions of others. And you begin with quiet resolve, the authentic, profound work of self-development. You begin building your body, making it strong and healthy. You begin building your mind, cultivating clarity and wisdom. You begin building your skills, your talents, your unique contributions to the world. You begin building your future, brick by brick, with intention. You begin building your routines, creating a rhythm of self-care. You begin building your spiritual strength, that inner sanctuary. You begin building the version of you that nobody, truly nobody, can manipulate or diminish any longer. Because the truth, my dear ones, is that the most profound vindication, if such a thing is even needed, is not in making others regret losing you. No. The best revenge, if you could call it that, is becoming so strong in your own being that you simply do not even care anymore about their absence. The best revenge is becoming so peaceful, so utterly serene, that their absence feels not like a wound, but like a quiet relief, a space for new growth. The best revenge is becoming so entirely whole, so complete within yourself that no one, absolutely no one, can fulfill you in a way you are not already. You are already complete. And the most powerful thing, the true liberation, is this. The day you stop looking for someone to save you, to mend your soul, is the day you stop being a casualty of affection, a leaf in the wind. You stop being someone who is readily wounded by every careless word. You stop being someone who crumbles when people leave because your foundation is within. You stop being someone who implores for attention, for love. You stop being someone who constantly compromises their own truth. And you become someone who, with quiet dignity, chooses themselves first. So do not wait, my friend, for someone to save you. Do not wait for someone to choose you. Do not wait for someone to love you authentically, truly. Become the person you were awaiting. Because when you become that person, the one you always longed for, you stop experiencing desertion, that aching sense of being left behind, and you begin instead to feel protected. Protected by your own self-respect, a shield of quiet dignity. Protected by your own discipline, a steady hand. Protected by your own wisdom, a guiding light. Protected by your own peace, an unshakable haven. And once you reach that level, my dear ones, the world, with all its shifting currents and changing winds, cannot shatter your spirit in the same manner again. It simply cannot. It simply cannot. I nod, stirring the embers with a gnarled stick, watching sparks dance into the cool night air. Yes, some things, no matter how much we wish, how much we pray, just cannot be. And when they don't happen, when that expected door remains closed, or that longed-for person walks away, sometimes, dear friends, we feel it like a heavy stone in our gut, don't we? A punishment, perhaps for some unseen failing, some unspoken wrong. I remember when I was just a young novice, barely taller than this fire pit, with dreams as vast as the night sky above us. Our revered abbot, Master Sheng, was preparing for a pilgrimage to the distant Cloud Peak Monastery, a journey known to be arduous, crossing treacherous mountains and swift rivers. Only a few senior monks were to accompany him, but my heart, so full of youthful fervor, yearned to be among them. I imagined myself walking beside the Master, learning directly from his wisdom, braving the elements. Every day I polished the temple bells with extra vigor, swept the courtyard until it gleamed, hoping my diligence would catch his eye. The scent of beeswax and old wood was my constant companion then. The day came for the selection. The monks gathered in the main hall, the air thick with anticipation, the scent of burning incense unusually heavy, almost suffocating. Master Sheng stood before us, his gaze sweeping over each face, a gentle smile playing on his lips, though his eyes held the deep knowing of one who carried many burdens. He called out names one by one. Each name was a chime of hope for some, a silent sigh for others. My own name, it was never spoken. The list was complete. I stood there, a small, invisible figure, feeling a cold knot form in my chest, a chill that had nothing to do with the temple's stone floors. The other novices, those also left behind, exchanged quiet, commiserating glances. But for me, it felt different. It felt like a deep, personal rejection, like a leaf falling from the tree, not by accident, but by silent decree. For weeks after they departed, a quiet sadness clung to me like the morning mist to the bamboo grove that lined the path down to the village. I would sit by the temple gate, watching the dusty road stretch out, imagining their journey, the places they were seeing, the wisdom they were absorbing. The deep sense of injustice simmered within me, a dull ache that seemed to reside just beneath my ribs. Why not me? I'd ask the silent stones. What have I done wrong? It felt like the universe itself was telling me I wasn't worthy, that I was being kept from my true path, punished for some unknown transgression. The simple meals tasted bland, even the crisp mountain water felt flat on my tongue. The chants felt hollow, just sounds escaping my lips without truly connecting to my spirit. Have you ever had a time like that, my friend? When the world just loses its luster and everything feels like a cosmic slight, a subtle hand pushing you away. But then, months later, news trickled back to our quiet valley. The pilgrimage had been far more perilous than even the rumors suggested. A sudden landslide had blocked a crucial mountain pass, trapping the monks for days with dwindling supplies. They faced harsh blizzards that whipped through the high peaks, and one of the younger accompanying monks fell gravely ill, barely surviving the ordeal. When the returning party finally arrived, gaunt and weary, their faces etched with the trials they had endured, I saw them. I saw the deep lines of exhaustion around Master Shang's eyes, the way the younger monks moved with a newfound gravity, a quiet weariness that seemed to age them beyond their years. And something shifted within me. Suddenly, the cold knot in my chest loosened. The bitterness, which had rooted itself so deeply, began to dissolve like snow under the spring sun, leaving behind a strange sense of warmth. I looked at the arduous path they had walked, the dangers they had faced, the suffering they had borne. And I realized, with a clarity that felt like a bell ringing in a quiet forest, that I had not been punished at all. My absence from that journey, which I had so desperately craved, had in fact been a profound protection. It had shielded me from hardship I was not yet ready to face, from suffering that might have broken my young spirit and perhaps even turned me from the path altogether. Sometimes, my dear ones, the things we lament not receiving, the paths that close before us, the people who depart from our lives, these are not signs of our unworthiness. They are not punishments from a disapproving sky or a cruel twist of fate. No. Often, with the gentle wisdom of hindsight, we come to understand that their absence was a quiet blessing, a guardian hand, unseen, steering us away from a storm we couldn't yet weather, or guiding us towards a different shore, one where we were meant to be all along. It might feel like a void at first, a gaping space where something precious should have been. But often that very void is the necessary space for something new, something truly meant for us to finally take root and grow. The embers glow, a quiet dance in the deep night, don't they? I see some of you stirring still, perhaps a shadow of a memory flitting across your eyes, a pang in the heart that even the soft crackle of the flames cannot quite soothe. Ah yes, the mind is a curious thing. When someone we held dear walks away, when a path we thought we'd share suddenly diverges, it often whispers the cruelest thoughts. Perhaps I was not enough. Perhaps I am being punished. It's a heavy cloak to wear, that feeling, isn't it? As if life itself has pointed a finger, declaring you unworthy of companionship, fated to walk alone under a starless sky. I've seen that look in many eyes, dear ones, felt that chill myself in my younger days, before the years taught this old monk to see the deeper currents of the river. I remember a time many decades ago when the village elder, Old Man Who, shared a story with me. He sat by his window, watching the spring rain wash over the cobblestones, the scent of damp earth and blossoming plum trees filling the air. His wife had passed a year prior, and he felt utterly lost. "Ming Xin," he'd said, his voice raspy like dry leaves. "I feel as if the heavens have cursed me. All my life, I tried to be a good man, to tend my garden, to help my neighbors. Why then has such a profound loneliness been bestowed upon me?" His eyes, usually bright with mischief, were clouded with a sadness that touched my young heart. He believed his wife's absence was a divine punishment for some unseen failing. But you see, my friends, the ancient teachings, the whisperings of the Buddha, offer a different lens through which to view these moments of departure. They tell us that such an absence, though it cuts deep and leaves a gaping wound, is not a punishment. No, never. It is, in its own mysterious way, a form of profound protection. Think of it. A gentle hand, unseen, guiding you away from a cliff's edge you couldn't perceive yourself. Sometimes the greatest mercy life bestows is the very thing we resisted with all our might, not getting what we desperately wanted or even implored to stay. I recall a young woman from a distant village, a weaver of the most delicate silk. Her name was Li. She loved a man who admired her skill but not her spirit. He would praise her beautiful fabrics, run his fingers over the intricate patterns, yet his eyes would glaze over when she spoke of her dreams, her fears, her quiet joys. She spent years bending herself into shapes she wasn't meant to be just to hold on to him. She dimmed her own vibrant colors, thinking if she were softer, quieter, less herself, he might truly see her. Her discernment, you see, was slowly fading, like a pattern on an old cloth. Her self-worth dwindled to mere threads. She sacrificed her tranquility day after day, living with a knot of anxiety in her stomach just to sustain a bond that was slowly, silently suffocating her. Life, with its infinite wisdom, saw that she lacked the fortitude to snip that thread herself. And so, the man left. Oh, the tears she shed, the wails that echoed through her small home, mingling with the sound of her loom, now still. She felt utterly condemned, a failure. But as the seasons turned, as the mist of her grief began to lift, she started to see. She began to remember how often his words had felt like tiny pinpricks. She remembered the nights she cried into her pillow, feeling utterly insufficient. She recalled how she was always the one reaching out, always mending the tears in their connection, always giving until her own spirit felt threadbare. And then, a startling revelation bloomed in her heart, like the first lotus after a long winter. She wasn't losing him. She was escaping him. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? The pain of separation, sharp and undeniable, yet beneath it, a faint stirring of relief. Relief that she no longer had to contend for his fleeting notice. Relief that she no longer had to question her worth with every unanswered message, every distant glance. Relief that she no longer had to scrutinize his words, searching for affection like a famished person awaiting sustenance. Her soul, deep down, had known all along that this relationship was depleting her spirit, disrespecting her deepest self. But attachment, my dear friends, can be a thick veil. It obscures our vision, keeps us clinging to a fragile hope that becomes, in truth, a heavy chain. The teachings remind us that all things in this transient world are like passing clouds. People, feelings, situations, even relationships themselves, they are all temporary. Everything flows, everything changes, like the river outside our temple walls. But our minds, bless them, they cling. They resist change, seeking control, certainty, assurance. So when someone leaves, the mind panics, fearing loss of control, loss of stability, loss of a cherished future. Yet, what was truly lost was often merely an illusion of safety. If someone can depart so easily, if they can treat you as if you never truly mattered, then the foundation of that connection was never truly consistent. You were building your emotional sanctuary, my friends, upon shifting sands, and life, in its profound mercy, removed that which was destined to crumble regardless. Sometimes people leave not because you, my dear ones, were insufficient, but because they were unprepared. Perhaps they did not possess the heart, the loyalty, the depth, or the maturity that you so generously offered. And their departure then is not evidence of your unworthiness. No, it is evidence of their inability to reciprocate the richness of your spirit. But in our sorrow, we often turn around, don't we? We pursue the departing shadow. We try to. convince them, to prove ourselves, to earn what should never require earning. And in doing so, we forfeit our inherent strength, piece by precious piece. This is why the path of detachment, often misunderstood as coldness, is truly a path of profound wisdom. It is the understanding that clinging to someone who consistently disrupts your inner peace is not love. It is a gentle yet persistent form of self-inflicted harm. No matter how many cherished memories you hold, no matter how deeply your heart still feels the ache, you must remember, my friends, that your peace, your tranquility, is infinitely more valuable than a person who consistently chooses to not choose you. Have you ever considered, as I have, that some people are not meant to be partners for life, but rather lessons for a season? They arrive in our story to illuminate parts of ourselves that need healing, to expose our habitual emotional responses, to reveal where we still hold a hidden weakness. And once that precious lesson is absorbed, like water by dry earth, they simply leave. Yet, how often do we fail to grasp this? Instead of learning, we beg. Instead of growing, we chase. Instead of healing, we find ourselves repeating the same patterns, drawn to the same kind of echoes. The teachings tell us that life, like a patient teacher, will present the same lesson again and again until we finally truly learn it. And what then is this potent lesson, my friends? It is self-respect. It is the quiet strength of establishing healthy boundaries. It is the recognition of your inherent, immeasurable value. It is learning to sit in the quiet solitude of your own being without faltering. It is ceasing to rely emotionally on another for your completeness. It is choosing peace over the tumultuous currents of attachment. It is understanding deeply that true love is never meant to feel like suffering and indignity. And once you absorb this profound lesson, your life, like a river finding its true course, begins to change. You stop allowing yourself to be regarded as a mere alternative. You stop settling for incomplete affection. You stop accepting crumbs when a feast awaits your spirit. You stop begging. And when you cease to beg, my dear ones, you become powerful. For begging is what keeps us weak, emotionally subjugated. It tricks us into believing we need them to survive. But once you realize that their absence was, in truth, a protective embrace, you no longer see yourself as the casualty. Instead, a quiet gratitude might begin to blossom in your heart. Not gratitude for the pain, no, but gratitude that you were spared from the deeper, more insidious pain. Imagine, just for a moment, if they had stayed. Imagine if you had spent years, perhaps even decades, pursuing their fleeting affection. Imagine if you had squandered your most vibrant years striving for a recognition that never truly came. Imagine if you had built your entire future around someone who never genuinely valued the beautiful spirit you possess. Imagine if you had continued to diminish yourself little by little for their mere convenience until there was no trace of your authentic self remaining. That, my friends, would have been a gradual demise, a slow fading of your light. And life, in its boundless wisdom, saved you from it by removing them from your path. So instead of only shedding tears for their departure, I invite you to ponder deeply here by this fire. Ask your weary heart, what was their presence truly doing to my mind, to my spirit? to my sense of self-worth? Were they truly fostering your growth or subtly undermining your spirit? Were they truly imparting tranquility or constantly inducing apprehension? Were they truly choosing you, or were they perhaps just using you as a mirror for their own needs? These are not easy questions, I know, but their honest answers can lead to a profound awakening. For when you truly see, you will realize that their absence is not something to fear, but something to respect, to understand, to cherish as a turning point. Buddhism teaches us that when something is removed from our life, it invariably generates an opening, a new space. Space for peace to settle in your weary bones. Space for healing to mend the tender wounds. Space for growth to stretch your soul. Space for more favorable circumstances. Space for more suitable individuals. Space for the version of you that you were always meant to become, unburdened and free. But you can only receive what is truly meant for you if you stop clinging to that which is not. So, do not implore them to return, my dear friends. Do not chase after a phantom. Do not recount past memories until you shatter your own spirit. Do not idealize that which in truth caused you such pain. Accept the protection. Accept the lesson. Accept the sacred space that has now been created within you. Your life, you see, is not ending. It is clarifying. Your story is not finished. It is transforming, like a caterpillar emerging from its cocoon. And the person who could not choose you, they were never your destination. They were merely a test, a profound test of your capacity to finally choose your own well-being. And when you finally, truly choose yourself, with every fiber of your being, you will realize the most profound truth of all existence. Losing them was not your punishment. It was your magnificent rescue. So let them go, my friends. Not because you hate them, no. Not because you are heartless or have stopped caring, but because your soul, at long last, is weary of begging, tired of pursuing an affection that continually eludes you, tired of giving your most precious heart to people who only cherish it when it conveniently benefits them. And understand this deeply. Engrave it upon your spirit. You were never created, never intended to live like a person who has to. Contend for fundamental consideration. You were never meant to abide in quietude, endlessly awaiting someone to finally choose you. You were never meant to sacrifice your self-respect, your very essence, just to keep someone close. Because real love, true and authentic, does not require you to endure hardship to demonstrate your worth. The path to peace, as our ancient texts reveal, is not found within another person. Peace is something you re-establish, gently, profoundly, within your own being. And the moment you stop clinging to people who do not choose you, you stop clinging to the pain. You stop clinging to the disappointment. You stop clinging to the indignity. You stop clinging to that delusory hope. Because hope, my friends, is only beautiful when it leads to growth. But when hope keeps you ensnared in recurring sorrow, it becomes a cage, locking you away from your own freedom. So instead of hoping for them to change, hope for yourself to heal. Hope for yourself to rise like the morning sun. Hope for yourself to become strong enough to never again implore for affection that should flow as naturally as a mountain spring. And yes, it will hurt at first. Your heart will miss them like an old habit. Your mind will replay memories like a worn-out song. Your emotions will try to pull you back into the familiar currents. But do not confuse missing someone with needing someone. Missing them does not mean they were good for you. Missing them does not mean you should return to that old path. It only means you were attached, and attachment, when it breaks, always feels painful. But that pain, my dear ones, is not here to shatter your spirit. It is here to liberate you. It is here to cleanse you like a purifying rain. It is here to rebuild you from the deepest core of your being. Sometimes, you see, we do not heal by receiving explanations. We heal by accepting truth, by accepting what is, and by walking away with quiet dignity. So if someone did not choose you, let them go. If someone rendered you unseen, release them. If someone transformed your affection into apprehension, detach. If someone compelled you to implore for consideration that should have been freely given, walk away. Because the truth, as stark as the moonlight on the snow, is this: it is infinitely better to be alone with your own peace than to be with someone and feel your essence diminish day by quiet day. And when you finally, truly choose yourself with such conviction, life begins to change in ways you never expected. Your mind becomes quiet like a still pond. Your heart becomes lighter like a bird taking flight. Your energy returns, a vibrant river within you. Your confidence grows, a sturdy tree. And you start building a life, dear friends, that does not crumble upon another's departure. Remember this line. Carry it in your heart like a cherished pebble for all time. You were never intended to implore for affection. You were meant to be respected. You were meant to be cherished. You were meant to be chosen naturally, effortlessly, like the air you breathe. And until that happens, choose yourself again and again and again. Even if it feels lonely sometimes, even if it brings a quiet ache, even if it takes a long, patient time. Because one day, you will look back, perhaps from a comfortable chair by a warm fire, and realize that letting them go was not the moment you forfeited affection. It was the sacred moment you rediscovered your true, magnificent self. Now, my friends, the hour grows late. The fire has settled into a gentle warmth. If these words have resonated deeply within your heart, let them settle there. Perhaps as you drift toward sleep, you might whisper to yourself or simply feel it within your soul. I choose peace. For from this night forward, may you cease pursuing others and instead begin walking, step by gentle step, toward the existence you genuinely merit. May your hearts be light and your dreams be blue, sweet under the quiet stars. Good night, my dear ones. Good night from Zen Mind Sleep.